All right, I will call the City of Lafayette City Council special meeting to order at Tuesday, July 15th at 6:06. And for the record, all council members are present. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So we'll go on to new business. Vice Mayor Drury and I created questions. And we will go through them right now. My other fellow council members have actually not seen it yet.
Correct.
And so I will project these on the screen, but actually did try this already and hopefully you want to turn that on right now. So you guys can see these in the audience and I can edit them in real time.
I do have a question.
Yes, what's that?
Before we,
Please.
just as a process for like what we do during the interviews. So do we expect we're going to do the same number of questions for everybody in this order?
Yes, that's what's our
And how
procedure.
many questions are we gonna get to? Do we, because you have quite a few here.
We have 14, we can decide, we're gonna discuss all of these.
I
We
should know.
want to cut any of them. I will be telling them at the beginning how many they have and approximately how much time they should take per
Got it.
in order to
Okay.
keep on schedule. But that's
Well,
it.
can I raise my idea?
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, sure.
okay, my thought, we haven't done this before, but to just make it totally fair. That is that we would hand the questions to the applicant. And tell them they've got 30 minutes. We'd like them to answer each question, spend as much time on each question as they would like. Then we don't run into any issues of an applicant spending more time on an early question, not realizing, they know how many there are.
Yeah.
But not realizing that X, Y, or Z was gonna be asked later and they could have better addressed it there. Than
Sure.
spread it out.
That is an idea.
Sure, I don't think it's a problem. Just in case we change anything, so you don't know if we have printouts for people. I've been mailing.
We will have printouts,
Okay.
everybody, if we do it that
Okay.
way. So that is an option. Well, why don't we decide that at the end of this, right? And then, if we wanna do it, we obviously can.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
So here, let's go through each one of them and decide if we like these or not.
Mhm.
So first, why do you want to be a council member? Why should we appoint you to this position? And what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
Fine.
Okay.
I would just re-comment, that is a very open, you know, it's very open-ended.
It is.
They gotta take 2 minutes. They have filled out their applications already, so we do know some of it. So I think I think it's great, but it really needs to be highlights because that's good. But go ahead. I'm just a little worried
We
about
can
timing.
recommend, it's like
Briefly.
briefly, okay,
Again,
the 2
I'll
minutes.
come back to it at the end,
Sure.
but that's why I would just hand it
Okay.
in the middle.
Okay,
Okay.
There is at least one applicant, who probably should spend more time on that.
Okay,
And this is something like this is one of the questions I had, so.
okay.
Yeah.
And then number 2, describe your vision for Lafayette and some of the steps you think are necessary to achieve that vision. And I was saying, I think this one we can
I
do.
would
I wanted them to see
absolutely
it.
want to cut this one.
Perfect, thank
These
you,
are
because
like
it's too
open-ended, too
Yeah.
broad, say
Done,
much stuff. It's all about, yeah.
Oh. What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years and what should be done to meet those challenges? Okay,
Yeah, it's very broad, but, yeah.
More
Okay.
specific, the first one, the other one.
what do you mean?
The part, the one we deleted is a little more specific, so I like this number 3 over 2.
No, I think the 2 we're gonna get rid of,
Yeah.
right? So.
Okay. What do you think are the 2 best decisions and 2 worst decisions made by the council in the last 5 years? Please explain the reasons. Yeah,
I remember this from.
I remember
when
this
did it.
too, yes.
So
These
it-
are
it-
very similar,
This one is a good question.
right? A city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the city should do to protect our residents against and prepare our residents for the risks associated with wildfire?
Yeah, I did do, I put together my own just in case to see how it fits.
Sure,
I
sure.
do have one, the way wildfire risk is growing concern. What role should the council play in balancing fire safety with property rights and land use? So I didn't know, but I don't know if yours is fine. My question, I have several here. They are gonna be a little more focused in these, just because I feel like I
Okay,
get better answer. I feel a more specific question gets a better specific answer versus broad. I'm not,
what do you
too
think we
worried
should
about
do to
it.
balance? I know, I don't mind that one, because that's actually how you have to approach it, right?
that's right, as
Right.
opposed to like fire, because I want my.
Protect our residents and, protect our residents. But also,
Respecting property rights and land use, because I think my goal will be, when we go
Right.
through these, is how are you gonna respond as a council member? I don't really, I mean,
And
your personal
was it-
things are fine,
Property rights and
and land use
land use, okay.
priorities or regulations or whatever.
Is,
So could you read through what you have?
a city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risks of wildfire. What do you think the city should do to protect our residents against, that doesn't, but protect our residents, but also, wait, let me see,
Right, while respecting, I
but
think,
also, and not protecting against.
Well, do you want to add at the end while?
while.
Protecting while
Yeah.
also respecting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's better, that's better. And the city should protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities.
That works.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's very important.
Perfect. This is a long one. City council priorities preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. This priority includes adopting objective design standards for downtown buildings, facilitating the development of affordable housing on 949 Moraga, negotiating a development agreement for the De Silva property, developing a multimodal mobility plan for the entire corridor, and planning for parks, creeks, and pathways. What do you want the Mount Diablo corridor to be like 10 years from now? And what should we be doing now to realize that vision?
So obviously it's about, my
Mm.
preference would be something like, I'd be more like, what 3 things would you like to see change in the Mount Diablo corridor over the next 10 years? I mean, I'd be more like that
Okay,
versus, and then you can see the priority, right? So it's like, okay, and then they could bring up multimodal. They could bring up vibrant downtown, they could bring up housing, I don't know, that'd be more.
so don't talk about any of our priorities.
Well,
So
I'd like
take
to-
all that out.
I don't know, that'd be
And what
my
are the
thought,
3 things?
because what do I, that's
What
what
should we
I'm,
focus on?
what would they focus on? I don't know.
I think I'd go with John's approach in that I kind of want to hear what they're thinking. This is a really dense question.
It's a super dense question,
So
I
I would-
agree.
I mean,
okay.
just simplify it, and I'd like to hear what their thinking is, so.
Yeah, what are the top 3 things
Yep.
you would like to see, or how would, the top three things you would like to see changed for the Mount Diablo corridor in the next 10 years?
Mhm.
So that's like a.
Top thing, okay.
I don't
I'm
know.
good. No, I think we're gonna get better answers.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Okay, what top three things would you change? And then on the Mount.
Yeah,
Diablo
over the next thing, I mean, yeah, I like the Mount Diablo,
over
yeah.
the next 10 years
Okay, so keeping the first sentence.
for.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And what should we be doing now to realize that vision?
Yeah,
Do we even need that? or
I
not?
don't need that,
No,
actually.
We don't need that, good.
Need that.
Another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status?
Yeah. I don't need to be a pain.
It's
Okay,
okay.
okay, so then,
You were the most recent one to do that.
no, I know, I know exactly
Yeah.
right, because I lived
Yeah.
it, so, I think, my thought, okay, Lafayette's budget is currently balanced, but deferred maintenance and long-term infrastructure costs are rising. How should the council plan for financial sustainability over the next 10 years? That was more thinking about the
Okay.
infrastructure bit is, because that's really what we're gonna be struggling with.
This is the one I'd like to leave open-ended, because I want to see what they think. of
Okay.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Perfect.
cool with that.
Okay,
And I'm good with that too.
good.
Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community? And what role do you think the city council should play?
Great.
Yeah, okay. Alright. What steps should the Lafayette City Council take in light of climate change?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Do you think the Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, what should be changed? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city? Explain your answer. Is that too broad?
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering, right, so my option.
Yeah,
And with state laws limiting our ability to deny housing projects, kind of like putting that out there, how should the council shape what gets built through zoning standards of planning? Or something like that, because I'm thinking our abilities are more like, you
Right.
know, influencing or
Right.
objective standards. That was more my thought, but I mean,
But
this,
it's true, it's,
yeah, I mean, I just kind of predicating it with, because my thought was, an answer with something we can't do is
Mhm.
like,
right.
it's probably a
very
good
true.
answer, but it's like not that relevant. That was my thought, so, but I don't know, I'm okay. doing like
With
this.
state laws limiting our control of,
No, I just,
what does it say? What did you say?
I don't care, I said, you know, with state law limiting our ability to deny housing projects, that was kind of like the predicate. You know, how should the council, or if you were on the council, you know, how should we shape what gets built? You know, through zoning,
Or
objective standards,
change.
or planning,
I'd
but,
rather leave it more open, so we'll just see generally.
okay,
And someone could come in and say, haven't you read the studies? There's plenty of housing in California. Look at all the vacancies. We don't need to do anything.
okay, so you'd rather keep it more open?
And if they got into the details you have, that means they've been.
They've been
about it.
thinking
And
There
I
is that,
would like
no.
to see
That's
that
true.
they've been thinking
Yeah,
about
no, I
it.
think it's fair. I guess there's the two thing. Are they aware of the
Of
current
the current
situation?
Yeah,
Or like,
it would expose that.
we're not, it would expose that versus like, okay, given the
Right.
thing, so, okay.
Okay. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the vitality of our downtown and to support our business community? Explain your answer.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good one, okay. Is the city doing too much or too little to provide recreational opportunities for our residents? Explain your answer. No, yeah,
That's fine. It's not a I mean. I don't say not high, it's a high priority. I think it's a question.
I think we're gonna get the same answer from everybody.
I know, this is where I think,
I think
I think
it's,
we step back, and we look at all the things. I think you're right. I think we're looking for questions that are gonna differentiate.
and I don't think anybody's gonna,
This is like your smothered apple pie, dude.
exactly.
Yeah.
We get rid of that one,
Yeah,
Okay.
I would do that.
all right. If it were within your power, what would you do or what would you change to make Lafayette an even better place to live? And visit,
Yes.
and visit.
I think that's fine. I have a similar question.
Okay.
I just ask, I don't know, mine was, you know, what's an issue in Lafayette that you think hasn't gotten enough attention? And why do you think that is? I was thinking, that was more like my open-ended one, but this is fine too. That's fine.
Say it again?
What's an issue in Lafayette that you think hasn't gotten enough attention? I wanted to kind of them to think outside of, you know, creatively,
What do
but
you think?
it's fine. This is, it addresses the same kind of.
It does.
thing, you
And the
know, so
next
it's fine.
one catches that.
Uh,
Number 14.
So number 4, I was thinking about this on the, I don't know why it's still saying 14 instead of 12. So I was thinking at the beginning, so 12 questions is great. Because then we can say it's 2 minutes and at 24 minutes, you're gonna be able to at the end, make a statement. So instead of asking them about elaborating, tell them at the beginning, at the end, we're gonna give you 3 minutes to make a statement or cover something that we didn't cover,
Mhm.
or not say anything about. You
Say thank you
can
very
shoot
much.
or say thank you very much and go, right? And so maybe that would be a better way to end it than just ending on a question. Let them,
Yeah, that's fine.
I like that,
okay,
because then it's their voice.
it's their voice, I
Yeah.
agree, right? Okay, all right, let's do it. So I need to, but I'll tell them that at the beginning. Right?
Yeah. Did we do it last time? This seems familiar.
We will have 2 minutes per question. If you want to answer each one equally in time. We will have 24 minutes.
So is our goal 27 minutes, and give a 3-minute passing period?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I know it's quick.
Oh, no.
We'll give you 3 minutes to give a final statement. Or cover something that we did not cover. Or you can thank us and leave and have a lovely evening.
Yeah,
Go to wine tasting.
yeah, really. You'll need it after this. Yeah.
And have a lovely evening. It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay. How about that?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, can we cut any, I mean, I wanna make sure we give them enough time to it seems kind of hurried here.
2 minutes?
Yeah, I
per?
mean, is there anything, having gone through this once?
Yeah, no, I think now that we've gone through it once.
Yeah,
maybe
let's see,
I
can we
get,
trim anything?
right.
Sure, let's go through
I
it.
did have one other kind of like broad question, but it was, I did have, was there a moment or experience that made you realize you want to be involved in local government? Kind of like,
Hmm.
the why. Now, maybe the first one is giving that answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it should,
You're right. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I like your question, but I think.
but I think that that will be,
This should be the first one.
okay,
Okay.
so
Great.
do you guys just wanna, should I read
So
these
now,
out loud?
well, how many do we have?
Cool.
We do we? Because I think was there one that was numbered?
No.
Susan. Susan.
Oh.
Susan, you want to do public comment before we go through it again, or?
Oh, okay. We don't have that on our thing, but we should have a public comment on these, right?
You could have a public comment.
Yes,
on
okay, we
this.
should have, well, we should public comment, if anybody has any public comment on our questions.
Yellow speakers. Sure.
Sure.
Comment, 3 minutes.
Sure.
I know your name.
Hi, Jean
Sure.
Fulmer. You might want to correct the date.
So I see.
Go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna,
Oh. Good catch.
no markup. Okay, so now we have it.
Right, so we have 12, which actually works, right? 12 questions,
Mhm.
2 minutes each.
Right.
I think there's a thing, and I guess just logistically, so we're gonna say, basically 2 minutes, but to your point about handing them, basically, we're asking the question, they're gonna answer until they're done answering. If they run out of time, we're not gonna correct them, right? We're
No.
not gonna say, you're 20 minutes in and we've only hit 6 of the questions, right?
No.
Well, I'd be concerned that someone would say, I wasn't looking at my watch. They may not feel that they were treated right if I have.
Is there the ability to put a timer up
I
here
think
or
that'd be
anything?
helpful.
We could put a timer on the
Green
screen.
behind you.
Well,
Yeah.
It counts down to 24
Then
minutes.
I think that's all we need, right?
That's all we need.
That'll do it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And at the beginning of each question, this is question 5 of blank, right? And so they know where they are, right?
Well, then actually, I gotta tell you then, unfortunately, to your point though, I mean, if we have 24 minutes and if we had 10 questions, it'd be kind of weird. I don't even know how you would balance yourself. I was like, oh, I need 2 minutes and
I'm-
10 seconds per
Well,
question.
Some are
right?
longer than others, I think.
And some are, yeah, and it's not, and they're gonna be.
Yeah.
It's hard,
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it's hard, but
I guess I'd like to have either 12 questions or 8 questions. So we'd have either 2 minutes each or 3 minutes
Yes.
each. So you would that'd be my only thought. Cause I think if I had one last question, how would I even know internally how to measure that? But.
Right.
um,
Okay,
I wouldn't want to set up an expectation to anyone that they would spend 2 minutes on a question because
Let's
some
do
point
12
may be to a real strong spot, someplace they
Right.
really add to the council,
Okay.
they're an expert on, and they'd want to spend 4 minutes, 5
Yeah.
minutes talking.
Okay, so we're just gonna okay, so time management's on them. We're not warning
Yeah.
them.
but we'll tell them we have 12 questions.
Yes.
We're gonna give you
Either
24
both
minutes
ends,
and,
Give them the timing, they
Right.
don't know what's coming, so they don't know if they're gonna get it, has to strike. That's why I would suggest we give them the questions and then they can decide.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you have to have 24 minutes to answer.
Okay, so should we go through them, talk about them, and then
okay,
Yeah.
we can.
sure. Why you wanna be a council member? Why should we appoint you to this position? What have you done that's prepared you to be a council member? What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years? And what should be done to meet those challenges? What do you think are the 2 best decisions and the 2 worst decisions, with 2 worst decisions made by the council in the last 5 years? Please explain the answers. A city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risks of wildfire. What do you think the city should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities? City council priorities preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change for the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor? Another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status? Does Lafayette need to become, what's that?
Okay, sorry, that's right. Okay.
Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive, welcoming community? And what role do you think the city council should play? What steps should the Lafayette City Council take in light of climate change?
I think maybe, you wanna say, should the city council take any steps in light side instead of, this is predicating the fact that they think we should. This feels like a leading question.
It is, so what steps could
No, I just think
Should.
is Lafayette City Council take any steps in light con, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
should. Okay. I see what you're saying. Let's see,
Take
um,
any steps in light. or-
it's any
Any action,
actions.
yeah.
Any actions. Okay, that's fine. In light of climate change. Do you think Lafayette has appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, it should be changed. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city? Explain your answer. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the vitality of our downtown in support of our business community? Explain your answer. If it were your, what's that?
So somewhat duplicative of the earlier question about the downtown. We go further back.
Housing or
No.
Well, if I was, well, I know, so I
the
think it's,
comprehensive thing?
cause
Yeah.
the whole, well, I would
Right,
answer
that's
it with housing and multimodal stuff, which none of that has to do with the business community per se.
Right, and that's why I like the business community.
Do you need, I mean, do you
What's that?
need to explain your answer at each one? I mean, isn't
We
the
don't
whole,
need
isn't
that.
the whole thing like
know what?
you're answering? I mean, I would
Of course, they're gonna,
just make it a little less daunting when we hand them a sheet.
Yeah, thank you.
in the same format for all of them, right?
Yeah.
If it were within your power, what would you do, or what would you change to make Lafayette an even better place to live and visit? And then obviously these are gone. Okay. All right, and then the final statement. Okay,
Or if necessary, I guess that's more like
if
your.
necessary, right?
Because they're, as you say, they're,
Yeah.
they may think, or there's no
I'm
obligation.
gonna say this at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And also, we have 12 questions, so we end at 24 minutes, and we've been 3 minutes to final statement, or something to cover.
Do you, on number one,
We get a laugh out of that, make me,
Yeah, laugh at me on that.
yeah,
is number one, I mean, those are three meaty questions.
Yes.
Should we just, is there one we could take out, just to try to, I mean, actually, in number one,
I-
not overall, I'm just thinking.
it's a long question.
Well, like each three is a question,
Mhm.
like each three is almost 2 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So I just don't know, if we like the other ones.
I
one
like
of
that,
those-
what have you done to prepare? I like that final one,
Right, so I actually.
and why
I
should
actually-
I appoint you? They better be talking about themselves, so
That's right, I actually think I think the 1A or 1B we can get rid of.
I agree. I'm the same way. Any preference? I like the, what's that?
I was good, I dropped the second one on
Me
I
that.
was
too.
asking, I was right, the
Me
first
too.
one, either one, either one.
Either one.
I mean, you're gonna get similar answer to
Yeah,
both.
I think so too.
So I think just making it simpler,
I think that's easier.
all right, and then.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we good? Okay, so, all right, do you guys want to give this out to them at the beginning, so they can figure it out? That was the other question,
Oh, no,
Carl's idea.
I mean, at the beginning,
At the beginning,
When
give
they
them
sit
the
down here.
sheet, give them all 12,
you're saying when they sit down,
yeah, when they sit down.
oh, yeah, that's fine, it doesn't really matter anyway, because you're not gonna be able to read, I mean. It's fine, but I mean, you're gonna be like looking at this thing and you're not gonna, but I think it does give them a sense of the kind of, yeah, you're right, let's give it to them.
Okay, and how long do we give them?
Experiment, I'm not,
No,
it
I
just
think it's
occurred to
fine.
me that
Yeah,
we're gonna be
So-
absolutely the
We-
same.
And we really only need to print out one copy, right, because you're gonna give this to them, we're gonna take it
Yes.
back at the end, obviously, because. The
Oh, good point.
questions need to be, we don't want.
unless it's all meshed up, better
Yeah,
make
sure,
copies.
yes, okay.
I mean,
Um,
this is like a fire hose of questions here, so I
Right.
think giving them a little heads up.
A little heads up.
You
would
can
be
see
fire.
what's coming at you.
Okay, and how long should we give them to review it before we start asking the first question?
Sorry. Like.
30 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they want, it's their time.
Oh. That's true, we're gonna cut off in 24 minutes,
Why don't we cut them off at 25?
because then we only get 3, no, we have 12 questions, that's 2. That makes sense. If they're,
I think it's fine, if we do it in 1 extra minute, it's gonna.
right. Okay,
Mayor, I have a question.
yes,
For the timer that's displayed behind you, do you want it set for 24 minutes and counting
24
down or
minutes.
30 minutes and count?
24.
24. Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually think in light of the other thing, that second part of number 3, please explain the reasons for your selections on question 3, I don't think.
Okay, that is
I mean,
true.
just to like make this document, we're giving them a little less.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sure, 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 sure.
Because it really is mostly one.
I'm good. I'm good. It makes it more
What if
uniform.
Somebody gives you.
When you move on, if they just say, measure H, blah, blah, and that's all they wanna say, it's like, wow.
That's up to you.
It's up to you, I guess. Presumably, somebody wanna talk about their thought process, but yeah,
One would think.
I would hope.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so I guess do we need a motion we can stop presenting? Adopt the questions?
And are we gonna ask them down the road?
Oh, yeah, who's
Oh, yeah.
doing which one? Okay, so, I'll start,
1, 2, 3, 4.
so. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2,
Sure.
3, 4, 1. Okay,
we'll just do seniority based, whatever,
seniority based,
or
okay,
whatever, kind
so
of, or whatever. So we'll just need printout,
I'll have, this is the printout we're gonna give to them,
and we'll need to.
and then I'll give
What-
printouts to us that
Yes.
have our names on it for which question.
Thank you.
Yes,
which one?
Very nice.
Okay.
Thank you, very good.
You. We're good?
We're good,
Thank you, everybody.
taking a break till 7?
We take a break until 7 o'clock. All right, good.
The microphone and camera are on.
Okay, so we are gonna call this meeting to order just a couple minutes before 7, so we can start the interview right at 7. We need to open item B, which is it's a council appointment process procedures that we adopted for this, and so everybody could be clear on the process that we're gonna follow tonight. However, at the end of it, there is an item that says, if we make a vote and 3 of us vote on to change these procedures during the interview process, we can. We're not expecting to do that, but it is open-ended in case we run into something where we need to change the process as needed. So do we have any questions about that? No, I guess I should take public comment on that,
May?
right?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on the council appointment process? None. Okay, great. Perfect. And that is 6:59. And so we will wait until 7. Do you want to go get him? That'd be great.
Yeah, you guys at the front row if you're late though.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Go down, if I can shake his hand.
I think Joanne's late, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It reminded me to back at the end.
No, we haven't far.
Are we letting him take? I don't think we should.
Oh,
I
we
don't think we
should.
should. because
Yeah, we'll
Jason's
take him
left out
back.
There, just take him back.
Okay. Good point.
In the front hot seat.
Literally. Right.
Welcome, welcome.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
We're trying something new this time, and we are actually gonna give you the questions. You
Okay.
can peruse them. There are 12 questions. We will give you 24 minutes, and we're gonna have a countdown clock here, so you can kind of keep your time.
We'll be
And
answering, we'll be asking them. You just have to.
we will be asking
Oh,
them,
okay.
and but just so you can have an idea, if you see some on there, you want to spend a little more time on than otherwise, but otherwise you're.
Okay.
All right, so questions. So the very first question is, why do you want to be a council member? And what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
Yeah, sure. So my family and I, we moved here in 2008, right before our second kid was born. And I'd say for most of that time that we spent here, I've been kind of an involved parent, but most of my time was spent on my career. But I think through that process, we, got to know the community through schools, their kids' interests. They didn't do sports a ton, but some sports and a lot of arts. And I think early on, the community just made sense to us. I think my wife has now actually gone back to become an assistant teacher at our local school. And so I think as I started thinking about retirement, being involved and trying to be helpful here was a natural next step. I think in my career, as I was thinking about, because I was thinking about in your shoes, who you'd want to choose. And I thought that it'd be important for you to think about how would be someone to work with, what skills they have, what experiences they have, and maybe what they would bring to the table that's less represented. So I think it's important to dwell a little bit. I'm not going to dwell a lot on my time as a city councilman before, but I think my career in investment management really did have a lot of challenges that I think are additive to this council. It wasn't just trying to pick stocks and bonds that went up. It was also trying to deal with challenges and questions and riddles, whether it was, the regulatory response to the global financial crisis or sanctions on Russia or the democratic transition in South Africa. There were a lot of riddles that affect the investing framework. And then once you had a view on those riddles, you had to work with your coworkers. We worked in a team, and it wasn't just enough to be smart. You had to relay those points, convince, argue, listen to your coworkers. And so I think working on a team is really important. It's always come really naturally to me, and obviously council. I know superficially it might seem that some of those skills are similar to Jim's in investment banking, but I think they're actually pretty different. not to diminish the important job that Jim did, but I do think it is different. And I do think it would be additive. The stuff that I've done in the community has been pretty recent, so it doesn't have the length of long-term years and years on commissions. But looking at it, I mean, I do think it would be helpful. And looking back at what I did 25 years ago, and I was city council, I think I did a very good job 25 years ago, but I think I could do a lot better job now. I mean, I think I've learned a lot from my career, from raising a family, and I also have more time than I did then.
Thank you.
What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years, and what should be done to meet those challenges?
Yeah, well, I think, one, kudos for getting the sales tax passed. I think that Lafayette would be in a different financial situation today without that. Credit to John and the whole council for really leading the charge on that. I think Lafayette has a very solid balance sheet for a city of its size. Its reserves are, I think, something like around 100% right now of revenues. On an income basis, the income statement still, I think, could be stronger. Our revenues have not grown as fast as Moraga and Orinda over the last 20 years or so. So I certainly think we can't rest on our laurels. I know this group is also takes its financial responsibility seriously, and expenses need to be watched. We have some potentially chunky expenditures that at least this council or the next council could decide to undertake. So that's an important decision to weigh. Clearly dealing with the housing mandates in a way that we don't get sued or lose a lawsuit if we are sued. That's has to be job one, given how small the city is. But it feels like, at least from my outside perspective, this council wants to comply with the law, and the plan was approved. And last night at the council, you talked about a development, and everyone seems to be positive. So it doesn't seem to me like this is a recalcitrant, band of resistance. So I think just trying to do the best job we can of retaining what we love about Lafayette while following state laws. It's going to be the next 2 to 10 years.
Great, thank you. Next, what do you think are the 2 best decisions and the 2 worst decisions made by the council in the past 5 years?
Ooh. So I went back and listened to the last few, obviously this is what, the 5th in 9 years, the last few. And this question was kind of on there before, but you didn't have the 5 years one. So the 5 years is a little trickier. Obviously Terraces was a difficult, bad set of outcomes, both in terms of the delay and the number of houses and the units and not getting fields and all that stuff, but that predated that. 5 years. This council, there hasn't been anything in this council that I thought substantially that I disagreed with. The positive one, let me start with the positives. So the one positive one, I think, is the decision to work with Orinda and Moraga in terms of trying to team together on subject matter that affects all 3 of us. Because to me, Lafayette is poorly served from the state, right? So on a school basis, our students get some of the lowest per capita money in the state. And as a city, we retain some of the lowest as a percentage of the property taxes generated here in the state. So we have to be scrappy. And I think any chance we can gang up with other scrappy players, I think so. I think I commend you guys for that. I think getting the housing plan approved by the state housing and conservation, or I can't remember if they changed it to construction and development. Having that approved, that has to be a compliment, a credit to you guys. And then I assume that the lawsuit will be unsuccessful. I think in retrospect, the decision to hold off on making substantial cuts and using the COVID money, the COVID one-off money to fund operating deficits was the right call. I think if you'd asked me that 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that. I thought that was a missed opportunity to get in front of some of the larger looming liabilities that are coming, but you got the votes for the sales tax and you didn't disrupt services, and I think that ended up being the right. So I've given you three things that were right. So what has been worst decisions? I think I don't know. I think I mean some of the things that here's one of the things that I think is frustrating to me, but which I say I'm not coming because I don't think I have some like secret proposal. If I did have a good proposal, I would tell you I would want it to get done. But I do have questions, right? So one of my questions is, for example, BART, right? So BART didn't allow us to put their parking lots under our plan, under this transit-oriented development thing that passed. They have even more leverage. I realize we can't control that. They didn't allow us to put it in there, full stop. But BART is still operating at a deficit. They rely on public goodwill. They're going to come with a sales tax measure, I think, to support mass transit. And that's an area, so I think they will rely on people like you and people in the community either campaign for it or against it. And so I think that was one of those things that, again, behind closed doors or doing other stuff, maybe you guys are already doing that. But that was something that I feel like I would be trying to do, is either telling BART that either you can work with us or why do you think we should work with you? That's one thing. PG&E is again, it's easy to complain about outsiders, but I think it's real. I mean, in the neighborhood that we live, Happy Valley, they just recently we had yet another power outage because I don't know, a critter hit a wire. And, you know, so I think things like allowing and supporting communities that they decide to want to shoulder the expenses of undergrounding, that would be an area that I think council could help with. In areas like Berkeley, there's a precedent for this. And the city does have to take some costs on in terms of plans and engineering and whatever. So I'm not saying it's a freebie, but I think it could be so substantial in terms of reducing the cost and risk of vegetation fire. Maybe the third thing is I think we should do more around kind of evacuation. And I said this in my campaign, so it's not just piggybacking on the Texas floods, but there are some neighborhoods in Lafayette that I think could benefit from evacuation sirens or some oral thing that would work if cell phones went down. And I don't think they would cost that much. Again, Berkeley is not an example for many things, but they have it there. And I think there are some parts, especially north of 24, but perhaps other neighborhoods, where I was canvassing and I saw that there's one road in, and it, God forbid, if something happened and people needed to move. So I'd say those are I don't know, those are some things.
Great. So city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the council should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities?
Yeah, so I talked about the evacuation part. I do think dealing with the congestion around Moraga, around school pickup and drop off, I think that's a public safety issue. So I think we should do more on that, whether it's staging and having cars drop off at different points, or just being much more prescriptive and working with the school board. Because I think that's a risk. We all know about it. You know, the times it's not like a mystery. And the reality is that Moraga could have a lot more cars in the future. So I think that is one thing that we can do in terms of evacuation. I do wonder about the benefit. I brought this up in the forum that we did, the candidate forum, about combining emergency preparedness and crime prevention. I mean, the police department in their annual report said their number one challenge is trying to protect our citizens from wildfire. So I wonder, it's just a question of whether there is a benefit to starting to see this as a public safety and kind of a joined up thing. Again, I'm not arguing for sure, just as a question. Protection, you know, I think I would be willing to spend more on the Cal Alert systems, because it does feel like that's a way for the community to try to take more control of its own early warnings. The Firewise things are great. I don't know how much more the city can do. I'm on the advisory commission that oversees the Confire. They claim that they're expediting and taking care of applications as quickly as they come in, but again, I'm not sure. I would want to make sure that that's the case. I do think undergrounding of PG&E, just the statistic that they that they mentioned about again, of northern of 24 of not being in wildfire risk. I think that's only one issue, but yes, there's vegetation risk, but there's also the ongoing operating expenses of tree limbing and just the constant maintenance that those areas with a lot of trees do require. The reality is we do touch upon East Bay Regional Parks and a number of things that we can't control. And so I would also commend council. So another positive thing council did was, I think, going to that Grayson roundtable where all the players kind of got together, again, from the Confire perspective. They often often talk about how difficult it is when you're dealing with East Bay mud and East Bay Regional Parks. I'm sure those bodies complain about Confire, but the reality is we all have the same job, which is trying to protect citizens and then property, but mostly people. That's more important. And so I think getting that group together and trying to make sure that we don't have a situation where people are pointing at each other instead of on the solution, I think is really, really important.
Great. A city council priority is preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change over the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor?
Yeah, so in looking back at the previous ones, there was a lot about this, about kind of planning and visions for Lafayette. I know you guys recently had a vision day. And I have to say, the things you all said seemed reasonable. Happen to be reading a book right now about Robert Moses, the planner in California, in New York. And it doesn't feel like a time for a Robert Moses in Lafayette, but that's fine. I think it would be great if Mount Diablo were more walkable. It would be great if people of all ages, from kids to older people, could access the downtown. I realize there's sometimes a little bit of an inherent conflict of whether we want the De Silva properties or whether we want to encourage commercial activity outside the core or not. I don't have a super strong view on that. Obviously, seeing the paucity of real retail activity in Orinda and Moraga, it does make me wonder whether there's enough to spread out. But I do, like, for example, it would be amazing if Park Hotel expanded, right? Because of the taxes that the vagrancy of hotel taxes that cities get to hold, or if we could get another hotel or something else that would be so, positive for tax revenues, like a Home Depot or whatever the thing might be, that would be amazing. And I think having the resources to, if the city had to step in to try to encourage something like that, is important to have, and also to be out there trying to work for it. But I hope Mount Diablo is more walkable, more vibrant. There will be more housing. That, and then, that hopefully the transportation services can be a little more joined up. I worry about the county connection system. If there were a stock, I would not buy that stock. The financials of it look atrocious, and you fear in the future, could that keep getting worse? But hey, look, technology, things can change, right? And I know some cities, for example, have tried to encourage kind of Uber-ish type things. Tahoe City has one. That's something that we could think of. We have the Spirit van for Lamarinda Village. There are some things that we could perhaps try to do to try to, again, to discourage car trips and to make sure that people can get to the core.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so this is question 6, so halfway point.
Yeah.
Another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status?
Yeah, so I apologize, but yeah, I think, like I said, balance sheet is very strong. I think the income statement is okay. I think this half-cent sales tax, like I said, was fantastic. I think it actually undersold it, how important it was. And not to say you intentionally misled people, but that going from whatever it was, 8.2 to 8.7 or whatever the number is, I think understates, because as you know, the city only got 1 and now we get 1.5. So that half to 1 is a huge jump, right? And really great. There are things that I worry about in terms of large financial things, right? So the Buckeye Field renovation, hardscape, whatever you want to call it, that could be chunky. the community center is obviously a huge potential issue. And then, you know, there's whatever stormwater plus, and then roads, right? To me, those are four big buckets. Not even dealing with people, but, on the road front, I actually did talk with some of the folks in the planning department, in the, I guess, yeah, transportation department. Just because I was curious of whether, because we're a small city, whether it would make sense to kind of negotiate with the Orinda and Moraga as we go out for tenders. And he was very patient, walking me through the numbers that they see. And I think in some senses, it does make sense. Usually when it does make sense, they do it. But I think we wanna be open to those kind of things, and I think we are. But broadly, the cost of construction keeps going up. We are takers of that cost. So again, I think that would be one of those things that I think on a county level, the county can be more helpful, right? We just can't keep pushing building materials farther and farther out. Could argue we also can't keep putting people farther and farther out. But obviously that's not within the purview of council per se, but I do think the county could be more helpful in making sure that we're not, you know, gonna be chucking in concrete from Tracy 15 years. That would be expensive.
Right. Number 7, does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community? And if so, what role do you think the city council should play?
Yeah, well, you know, I think the future of California and Lafayette and the United States is more diverse. And I think we don't give our kids, we set our kids up for failure if we don't acknowledge that and try to actively work to encourage that. I mean, one of the challenges that I ran into when running was well, you can't serve because you haven't served X long enough. And I think a lot of people, I talked to a number of people who have felt that Lafayette can sometimes feel pretty insular. And kind of view itself as like the end of the road as opposed to perhaps the middle of the road. I mean, the fact that I guess there's 2 of us under 50, but I would love it if there were younger people, you know, looking at council and looking at leadership positions. I think that would be really healthy for the whole city. And so I think we can do more. I think sometimes it takes a little bit of bravery to say, you know, I'm choosing you because I think what you will do rather than what you have done. But I know that I think the city would be better off if we did.
Thanks. And I've got question 8, which is, should the Lafayette City Council take any actions in light of climate change?
Yeah, this one, so I think this is a tricky one, right? I mean, our greenhouse gas emissions are meaningless in the grand scheme of things, but that doesn't mean they don't have meaning, and it doesn't mean that there isn't work to be done. I guess my only point I would encourage this council and all councils is to be real wary of unfunded mandates. I mean, I think we were pretty excited about the mandate for electrical, leaf blowers, and that really did force expenses on people in the community. Now, is it life-changing? You know, no. But I do think we just want to be careful with that. Like, it's really easy to convince yourself you've done well when you haven't taken on the cost of it. And I think that speaks to the federal level, state level, county level, and then the city level. And so there aren't a lot of things like that in Lafayette, but I do think I wouldn't want to add to that. I still think we could be less bureaucratic. I mean, for example, my personal experience, it's not really climate change per se, but around the trees. I thought the tree ordinance in modernization was a good step, but there's still a lot of bureaucracy. I mean, if you have an oak that's dying and you need to remove it because it's going to fall on your house, there is a lot of paperwork still. And that's dumb. So, you know, again, is that climate change? No, but does it annoy people and does it get in the way of our community being safer because there isn't a dead oak that's going to fall down? Yeah.
Okay, Do you think Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, what should be changed?
Yeah, so I saw that our police chief, who I like Jamie quite a bit. I think he mentioned that we are under-resourced as a per capita. It's hard to see that in the statistics. Obviously, you don't want any crime, and you don't want any crime that's not, found and punished. But it still feels pretty safe from a statistical level. I do think there's value in making sure that we're kind of above beyond on especially that downtown retail. Because I've seen what happens if retail stores don't feel safe and losses, obviously we have the CVS thing and that becomes kind of an eyesore and so I'd say over investing in making sure that this is not a first stop for criminals is a good idea. I know we're running out of time, sorry.
No, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, we have one more minute. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl.
Well, why don't you go ahead?
Oh, anything else?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, sorry. I would say one thing that was somewhat tied to this is we're a small city. And obviously you don't want lawsuits. You do want them, you want to win them. But I would be remiss to not mention, obviously, the what's going on with the school board with their trustee/district model. I think that's something that we should be aware of. Obviously, we have 5 at-large positions now. 4 council members from one neighborhood. It could invite and make things disruptive. Again, I think 4 council members from one neighborhood could do a great job representing our city. But it is, I think, topical. It was a surprise to me that there are these groups that do these lawsuits. But in the end of the day, maybe it is more democratic.
Great. So we were going to give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or cover anything we didn't cover, or simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Yeah. 3 minutes. Yeah, so I touched on a little bit on I think I would be an excellent city councilman because I've been a city councilman before and I know what the job is like, but not because, again, I have some mystery of the right answer. I think I would, if you did choose me, I think you'd find me collegial, curious, energetic, and someone who cares deeply about making Lafayette better. And I'm excited about this opportunity. I wish it weren't the 5th time in 9 years. I think there is a benefit to running for elected office, shockingly. I think I learned a lot campaigning, and the people I met, hundreds of people I never would have met otherwise, and had to share my views and had to listen to their views. And I think that's kind of what democracy is part of. So I think I'm glad I ran. Obviously, I would have preferred to win, but I think Jim is doing an amazing job. And, I do think that ultimately there was value in that.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, wonderful.
Oh, and Mark.
Keep the questions. That's okay.
I don't know why.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We get some extra seats maybe if we have any,
I can try.
or AC. We're working on the AC.
Yeah. So it's trying to put it on the screen at 265.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah,
You
very
know,
good.
have it midway. And then
Fine.
Gotta turn the heat up, right?
Yeah, I think so. Make it.
I know.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like- Yeah. I suppose.
It is not.
It's not.
No, unfortunately.
Of course, thank you.
No fans available?
You would think, maybe that could be the next council. Plus, we don't. We're missing Joanne.
It was. Got her.
He said a fan, I guess.
Right there.
I've seen the classic movie, Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, you are.
I know we're all going. I worked.
Carl's the last one to check.
Yeah, I'm just swearing.
You know, he's not wearing
Like I didn't have my- You're not wearing a pin.
They're trying to set up for a second room
Yeah,
that they can live stream it.
Those.
Hence the-
Restore this maybe.
And of course, they're gonna speak.
Yeah, you see.
We actually tried to get the larger.
Goes up on the building.
We're trying to get the size.
And,
So we can't.
Yes.
Have coffee at 5 a.m.
yeah.
Hasn't really since then.
So just for that.
Sure.
Yes, we got.
You didn't read the memo?
I do like, I think.
Yeah.
That's great. That's crazy.
Monday night.
Yes.
Is it?
You can spend 24 minutes on one fight.
With the wait for our city manager.
Sorry, yeah.
Clerk to Come back.
It's what we need for your man. But now, we don't want to make sure that fire.
Oh, don't even talk about that.
Yeah, sorry, sorry, I withdraw that statement.
What's that?
I didn't know what social orders would be, so I brought my fancy new AirPod hearing aids.
Oh,
I don't.
Okay, feel free.
Don't suspect I'm gonna need them.
No, we're pretty, it's a very intimate conversation.
very
I
quiet.
could reach out and such.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of that.
Is Joanne coming back? And
7:30.
Suzanne?
Yeah. Just time.
Yes. What? Oh,
Something open? All good.
we're waiting.
Yes.
We're waiting to unlock the doors.
Joanne is downstairs.
Wonderful.
Have a note that says don't close the door.
And, but it was ignored. Yes, that happens. And just to let you guys know, at the end of the interviews, we'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll take all the public comment after the break.
After all.
Yeah, after the interview, so it'll be around 9:40 is when public comment will start. Joanne, is Suzanne coming? Can you run the timer?
Let's try.
Okay,
Which? Susan.
Yes.
Public comment. limit.
correct.
Oh my God, yes, oh, very much. yes.
Suzanne's coming.
Maybe that's par for your course, but
It is.
I'm not used to them.
Want to make sure that you are ready to
All right.
get the timer
Fire it
going.
off.
Okay, well, hello. Bill, good to
Hello.
meet you. We have 12 questions. We're gonna give you 24 minutes, so about 2 minutes a question. And take as long as you want or not, but at the end of 24 minutes, we will stop. And then we'll give you 3 minutes to make a statement or talk about something we didn't talk about, or whatever you want to use your time for.
Okay. So instead.
And we're gonna be asking you.
We'll be asking.
That was just more like give you a sense of like.
You're welcome to read it right now.
Read it right now if you
Know
wanna
what you're
kinda know.
ask, and so you can kind of gauge.
Take as much time as you want.
Read them while we're asking the question. I think that was probably.
Also.
Yeah.
right. Great, thank you. So why do you want to be a council member, and what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
Our family moved here 24 years ago. And before we moved from San Francisco, I signed up to be an LMYA kindergarten soccer coach, which is also called cat herding. I had no idea that was going to lead to involvement literally every month for 24 years since. And it's been incredibly rewarding to be involved heavily in the youth side of the community. So it's also been an introduction to a lot of families. That involvement has been extensive. It's involved running leagues. It's involved working with a lot of people in running those leagues, and a great joy to work with the kids of this community. None of that was more valuable to those kids than in 2020, when I had been coaching 2 sports for 3 years and literally coaching almost every month of the year at Akalani's. COVID hit. We all know the story. We all know we were locked in our house. We were all working from home, and the kids were doing virtually nothing. So that's not a healthy situation for people their ages. I would work, and then I would run to Akalani's and coach with some of my friends like Mr. Comby for an hour and a half, run home, swallow dinner, run back, and coach girls lacrosse. And the reason that that was so rewarding, though exhausting, was seeing how badly they needed it. So what I call that is commitment. And when I commit, as my friends will attest, I commit fully. When this opening came up, I'd been encouraged by a few people in this room to run for the council in the past. I chose for various reasons not to. This opening came up and I thought, why not now? It's something that I thought about for a while. I was intrigued by what I saw at Community Day and the involvement of people. Susan put me in charge of a team. I think our team got the job done, and I decided it's time to commit to the city more broadly.
Okay, what do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years, and what would you do to meet those challenges?
Well, the greatest challenge is one that we have somewhat limited powers to do anything about because the state's handed it to us, and that, of course, the council has spent, I don't even know how many years, and couldn't begin to count the hours on the housing mandate. The mandate's coming from Sacramento. The numbers are not, the number of housing units that we have to add supposedly by 2030 is not fully in my head, but it's multiple thousand, low thousands. And it clearly is going to change the character of the town in some way. GPAC's worked on that. There are very few people in this town that want to see the 2-lane road neighborhoods, the valleys, have more density. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a fire standpoint. Fire is a challenge. I don't think the city council can do much about fire. I believe that Firewise, which is involved in the neighborhoods, is a great thing, and I would encourage all of my friends, somebody in their household, to get involved with their local Firewise. And a big issue facing this town is what I call aging in place. And I know you're aware that a lot of people choose not to leave this town. My father's 94. He came here in 69. He's still in his house. It's becoming unwieldy, but the town does have resources. The community foundation provides resources. People find resources. We're all getting older. The town's at the margin getting older. America's getting older. So I think the biggest challenges are the housing situation and what it's doing to navigability of the downtown corridor, which is an enormous issue, and I'm sure you hear about it, but you don't hear about it maybe as much as I do. I pulled friends on a trip to Canada 3 weeks ago, and every single one of them was basically talking about the navigability of downtown. And I'd love to tell them that there are obvious things the city council can do about that, but I'm not sure there's a whole heck of a lot. We don't want to make it worse.
Great. So what do you think are the 2 best decisions and the 2 worst decisions the council has made over the last 5 years?
I'm going to cheat on that one because the best decision the city council ever made is a continuing decision. And that's the 1968 decision not to have a pension. The police and fire costs, police and fire is absolutely necessary. They're expensive human beings. We're paying for their pensions. That's part of the deal. The 1968 decision not to have a city pension, but instead to have effectively a 403B, not a defined benefit plan, but a defined contribution plan, has paid major dividends. We have cities around us that are technically insolvent. Berkeley's unfunded liability is $750 million. There is no way that they're going to be able to deal with that short of some kind of real crisis. Lafayette does not, we may have fiscal challenges, we don't have that problem. So I'm calling that a continuing decision. A decision that I agreed with the council was the 2020 vote that I don't think the council had to do, but they voted to the city confirmed decision to support the terraces after at least 10 and probably more years of time and effort and controversy and arguments. I believe that the city spending more money to fight a project that had already won, that the state wanted, would have been foolish money spent. So the council voted to approve that after 2 years after the failure of Measure L. And I think that was a wise decision. Two decisions that I disagreed with. I disagreed on the leaf blower ban for multiple reasons. And instead of going into multiple reasons, I will tell you that I'm not sure how much you thought about this, but I have people tell me about the HOAs in the communities they move to and how painful it is to be on an HOA board because there are a certain percentage of people who want to come complain all the time about their neighbor or a policy. And one of the unfortunate things that's happened after the leaf blower ban is neighborhood nannies reporting on their neighbors. I've had 2 friends receive anonymous letters in their mailbox, followed by a complaint to the city outing them because their gardener used a gas leaf blower. I don't think the city wants to be in a position where we establish policies that pit neighbor against neighbor. Recently, just this weekend, a friend said that a text was going around in the Glen, please report neighbors and talk to them about continuing use of gas leaf blowers. I just don't think that's a great thing for the spirit of Love Lafayette. The other decision, real quick, I don't know if it was the city council, but I was told it was, denied a permit to the Occolani seniors to have the joyful parade that they'd had since COVID. I attended that parade every year. People in this room attended it. It was absolutely joyful. I did not perceive any risk. People were made to sit in their cars and wave out the window as their dad or mom drove down the street. If we're not going to celebrate the seniors at Occolani's, I don't know what we should celebrate in this town. And I thought that was unfortunate.
Okay, so question 4. A city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the council should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities?
You know, the respecting property rights is a problem because some people effectively refuse to do much of anything. And I've had that discussion with certain neighbors who've spent a lot of money on clearing their land, and they have another neighbor who's aging in place who just won't spend money to do anything. My wife seems to think that the fire authorities, the state fire authorities, may impose rules on towns at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not sure what, I think the biggest thing that the city council can do consistently on any issue is set a tone. And I think that tone should be quite obvious. If you're not participating in your neighborhood fire-wise, we advise you to do so. I happen to be married to someone who does not allow clutter in the house. It's sort of painful. My friends know it. I don't buy stuff because I'm told every 2 years, get rid of stuff. And I said, but I don't buy anything. Our yard, I'm spending money all the time on fire-wise things around our property. And she even pesters our neighbors, 2 of whom can attest to that. So I think she's on the right track because this problem is clearly not one that's going to go away. I'm not sure how the city council can make mandates, but certainly set the tone and for goodness sake, highlight the value of going to your neighborhood firewise meeting.
Great, thank you. A city council priority is preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change over the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor?
Starting on the west side, I trust that at some point in that time frame, the Lennar project will finally be finished. It will certainly be finished. Or I'm dead, before everybody in this room is gone. None of my friends have any idea what's happened there over 8 years. I'm sure it's complicated. On the other end of town, I would imagine that the carcass of El Charro will be gone within the next several years. And looking at it makes everybody sad. From one end to another, we're going to have considerably more housing. There are a lot of people that are upset with what they believe will the height limit will change. It's going to be a different look. I'm on a committee running my 50th Akalani's reunion this September. A lot of these people haven't been here for a long time. When they come back, having not been here for all these years, they will see a town that has its familiarities, like the Roundup, and has a lot of changes. And in 5 to 10 years down the road, if we do a 60th, which I very much doubt, because cat herding is not fun, they will see a town that's changed even more. What the council can do, the council is going to get consistent push by people on various aspects of that. And with the GPAC's work, the majority of this housing is going to be in the downtown corridor. Not all of it on Mount Diablo Boulevard. It's going to change the character. But I think that the character of the town can survive the changes that the state is dictating. Look, you love Lafayette, everybody in the room loves Lafayette, nobody else cares. Nobody else who lives outside this town cares about Lafayette. I used to tell JV girls when they didn't want to practice, if you don't want to practice, if you don't want to get better, nobody cares about the JV, except your coaches and your mom. No one else cares about the junior varsity. Nobody outside of Lafayette cares about this town. Wiener doesn't care, Sacramento doesn't care. They're going to put a mandate on here that makes it very difficult to get around the town. And for people in the valleys with 2-lane roads, there's no relief for 2-lane roads. It's unwieldy, but it's all going to be focused on this. Most of it's going to be focused on this corridor. The mitigation of that is going to be in front of the city council every other week at every meeting.
Okay, question number 6 out of 12. Another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status?
So the city's financial situation, as I understand it, and as it was recently written about in Vistas, is roughly balanced, solid. After the passage of a sales tax that I did not support. The reason I didn't support it is I wanted to see properties sold and cash realized before we asked the citizens for more money. I'm deeply sensitive to the tax situation. I firmly believe that all of us are going to be paying more federal taxes because we have a disaster at the federal level fiscally. My friends hear me talk about it all the time. My wife says you've been droning on for 35 years. But we have a deep fiscal situation at the federal level. The state situation is not great. The city situation now, with the passage of the taxes in balance, if we sell Campana, we'll have a one-time, but that's not a lot of money. And it's not a lot of money. And when we saw Measure C go down to defeat 9 years ago, which would have funded another police officer, we can see that there's a reluctance at some level for more taxes, and we just saw that with Measure T. So I think the city's, this city was started by a bunch of people that understood how to start a city, and the fiscal situation has been pretty good for the entire history of the city. It's now roughly in balance to my knowledge, and we're just gonna have to be careful to nurse it along.
Great. Right, thank you. Question 7. Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community? And if so, what role do you think the city council should play?
I'm gonna use a prop here. Everybody has passports?
Sure.
Did anybody ever read the little lines in their passport? You probably never even read them. I read this coming back from Canada the other day, and I thought if a question came up on diversity, equity, and inclusion, this would be appropriate. The cause of freedom is not the cause of a race or a sect, a party, or a class. It is the cause of humankind, the very birthright of humanity. The quote is from Anna Julia Cooper. If you don't know who she is, I suggest you look her up. She lived a long time ago. She happened to be a Black American. She was a very dignified person. I don't think the city council needs to do a lot on this, except again, set the tone. And the reason is I've spent 24 years in the trenches of this town. In the trenches means working with people, working with the individuals who live here, many of whom are anonymous, at least one who is in this room, who give a lot of money and a lot of time and ask for no notoriety for causes not like the Park Theater, which is a nice cause and funded privately, but for causes that benefit less fortunate people throughout not just this county, but the East Bay. Those two causes are Hope Solutions, which you mostly know about, and my friend who ran it and has given a lot of money to it, he asked for nothing in return. Another couple of friends, you know Brian Griggs, the amount of time and money they've put into the basic fund, thank you. Love that prompt. The basic fund, which benefits is scholarships for kids from low income and low moderate income families that want to get out of schools that they perceive are not offering their kids what they want out of education. And that's privately funded. And these men have put a ton of time and money into it. They get no notoriety. They're probably not going to be Citizens of the Year. That what's going on in this town underneath the leadership of the city council without a lot of prompting is good people doing good things. And diversity is alive and well. Everybody knows what the town looks like from a skin color standpoint, and I think that's a waste of time to talk about. What you need to know is going on in your town is what was just portrayed in La Marinda Weekly. Deontay Littlejohn and Chris Clark. If you didn't see it, read it. It's a great human story. Chris Clark is a gift at Acalanes. Many of us have worked with him. We've had our kids taken care of. He's the athletic trainer, amongst other things. Chris is just as solid as it can be. And the story about Deontay, who was from Vallejo, who knew nobody, but his mother wanted a better situation for him and got him in to Acalanes. He showed up 3 years ago and we just started coaching him in football. This story about what he's done in the discus under Chris Clark's tutelage is diversity in action. That's what's happening in the town in the trenches. Troop 204 under Tom Stuber started Troop 402. And my friend Ronit can attest, Troop 402 is instead of starting a boys troop that included girls, they left the boys side alone. They started a girls troop. It's one of the most successful girls troops in America. That's inclusion and diversity. It's going on out there. And I don't think the city council needs to lead it. Your citizens are making it happen.
Thank you. So this is the 8th question. Should the Lafayette City Council take any actions in light of climate change?
No, and I'll tell you why. We're 25,000 people and a lot of us care about climate change. Some don't. You can't make everybody care about everything. Climate change that is going on is measurable, and yet Lafayette, 25,000 people, many who want to feel like they're doing something. We can't do anything material, and I think it's our job as leaders to do things that are material and effective. To pin the tail on a donkey, and it's not fair, but I'm going to pick 2 examples for you of what would be effective. And these both go to President Obama, which I just happened to pick the example. So he was sitting, he had a chance to pass an eminent domain law that would have allowed major transmission line construction from the Oklahoma Panhandle to the Mississippi River to transmit clean wind energy from the Oklahoma Panhandle, where the wind blows all the time. But nobody lives there. They don't need power there. They need power in other places. He passed on using eminent domain because politically he thought it might be a loser for his reelection. That's unfortunate, but that's the way politics work. NORAD modeled it 15 years ago. NORAD modeled how much of the electrical grid in this country could be run, as recounted in a book called Superpower. How much of the electrical grid of this country could be run if we had high-speed transmission off of wind power alone? And the answer is shocking. It's 80%. If you read that statistic and you think, what can Lafayette do? I don't think, other than set a tone, I don't think we can do anything. And the other thing I would say is that President Obama did not authorize the opening of Yucca Mountain Waste Repository, where we can put nuclear waste. We studied it and spent billions on it. It is now mothballed. Nuclear energy is a very clean source that this country should have embraced. We should have figured it out. We should have been leaders on it, and we haven't been. Now it's making it a modest comeback, but there's nowhere to put this stuff, and Yucca Mountain still sits there. So these are big picture things. And I don't think, as much as we all want to contribute, I don't think it's a Lafayette issue.
Right. Yeah. Scroll. So
Beat the
scrolling.
clock,
Okay.
Bill.
All right, do you think Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why, and if not, what should be changed?
I think from a fire standpoint, the reopening of the fire station on Los Erebus has been a big win, particularly in an area that has been heavily targeted by insurance companies that view that part of town as quite a fire danger. On the police side, I already mentioned what happened in 2016 with the defeat of of Measure C. I think we're lucky on the police side that we have such coordination between the 3 towns. I think all of us have noticed times when police from all three towns have responded to a situation. Are we adequately covered? Ideally, probably not. Fiscally, I don't see how we could add more police. The biggest issue that I see in this town right now, and it's gonna happen as sadly as it's gonna be, is something that I don't know what you do about it. And that's the e-bike proliferation amongst 13 to 15-year-olds. There is going to be a kid who gets in front of traffic, not because they're going too fast, but because they just don't see him, and he's gonna get knocked off that bike, and I just hope it's not a tragedy. We've had 3 people die in this town that I'm aware of, none due to speeding. Leo in Burton Valley, when he bike ran into a delivery truck, an older man over at Olympic, when he was not seen in the early morning light by a driver and hit him, knocked him off his bike. And the woman that was killed across from Bentley by a large truck with a profile where the driver couldn't see her walking in front of him. That's not due to speeding, that's due to circumstances. But this e-bike thing, I mean, today I was driving on Happy Valley Road and here comes a kid right down the middle of the road, right down the double yellow stripe on his e-bike. It's just an accident waiting to happen.
Okay, is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city?
I think the city's doing what it has to do. I think that many people would say we shouldn't have to do anything. And inclusive Lafayette and my young friend Jeremy would say we should build to the sky. That it doesn't really matter because it's been dictated by the state effectively. And we've had to balance hopefully what we can do and want to do to meet those numbers. And gee, I can't even imagine how many hours GPAC spent on this, but it's coming. And so I don't think the city council has to do more. I think we have to we have to push for what we believe keeps the character of the town and the safety of the town, which means no upzoning in remote valleys with 2-lane roads where a real mess would ensue of people trying to get out. So I think we're doing pretty much what's been forced upon us. And many of us, some of us may have wanted to do some of that anyway, but it's sort of locked in. My question to the council, and I don't know the answer, is we don't have all these units completed by 2030. Are we penalized? Because projects aren't getting done and permits that have been approved are expiring. So I don't know how this is all gonna get done. Economics says it's a problem right now.
Great. Right, question 11. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the vitality of our downtown and to support our business community?
I think the city is doing what it should do to support a downtown that's wonderful. We do have a lot of vacancies, landlords that raise rents, lose their tenants. That's a market thing. It's a shame when somebody's beloved coffee shop or dog pet store goes away because the landlords, that's a market-based thing. I think that the council's support for the street fair is wonderful. It's a great event. I think the downtown is vibrant. The private parking meter situation bugs a lot of people, and they will tell you they don't go downtown as much to eat or shop. Because of it, I'm not sure what the council can do about that. I got 40 seconds.
And the last one is, if you're within your power, what would you do? What would you change to make Lafayette an even better place to live or visit?
I think we've got to be humble about what we can do to make this place a better place to live. My family moved here. We're thrilled we moved here. Almost all of my best friends are here and want to stay. I think what the council has done to make this place a great place to live is commendable and it works. And I think we should all be humble not to wreck the jewel that we've been given. And I came in 2 seconds ahead.
Thank you. And we can, we're not done.
Okay.
We will give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or cover something that we did not cover, or you can simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not.
Okay.
But I'll do it when I finish. So,
Sure.
2 things. I think it's important to know what people think their own perceived strengths and weaknesses are. So without going into a litany of that stuff, people wrote letters on my behalf that I'm humbled by. I'm appreciative of. That said, I think that the real strength that I'd like to emphasize that I think I have is building community. Whether it's organizing a ski trip or a men's group or a sports league, starting girls flag football for MOL, I build community, and I think that's my strength. And I don't know if it's a gift, it's something I love, and it's just, it comes from in here. So that's my strength. My weakness is that I will listen to someone who may carry on into the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth minute when they could have done it in two. And I'm tempted to interject. And that means I need to learn how to listen better. And I'm sure you all suffer, many people, where you'd like to interject, stop the clock, move on. You've learned what you need to learn. So that's something that I would be working on. More listening, less talking. And with that, I will thank you and say good night.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much. And we'll take the, back.
We'll take the.
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Didn't even sweat on it.
Thank you very much. Nice, yeah.
Thank you all.
Also, this was Mario's.
I need a minute.
Perfect.
Take it, take it.
Yeah. All right.
Great job, Bill.
Go, go, go. Take what you need.
What do we do with these?
Oh, our city clerk will take those. Joanne right there in the white sweater. Yes.
Yeah. But you do your thing.
Yeah, public comment will be at 9:40. I didn't set the rules. We all did.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying to get your next.
We're missing. Watch for John coming back in.
I drive. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Right.
And if more folks do come in, this way.
Fantastic.
Might even be a tad cooler.
Yeah. Even though.
Make that as a plus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that, I stayed there for.
Yeah, I heard,
We lost Suzanne. Hey, Joanne. Oh,
She's
there's
right
Suzanne,
there.
okay.
Zoom was for me.
Oh, yeah, the hot seat.
You.
And you may want to take your sweater off, Tosh.
Oh,
It's up to you, yeah.
gnarly hog bite here.
Oh. All right.
Looks worse than it is.
Are we ready? Oh, did she give that to you? No.
No.
Oh, here.
Cheers.
I can give it to you. We have 12 questions.
Okay.
We're gonna give you 24 minutes. And then we'll give you 3 minutes at the end to make a final statement or cover something that we didn't cover, or simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you. So,
Sounds good.
We're
so
sort
you
of,
can take a minute to read those over so you can kind of get an idea of what we're gonna do.
Okay. All right, good luck.
Yes,
A lot of questions.
got it. Okay. So why do you want to be a council member and what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
So I want to become a council member to serve my community, just rock bottom, plain and simple. And I want to help guide the city's future form and adaptation to change, which we just know is coming. while staying true to the mission statement and the residents' values and vision. And what have I done to prepare for it? Well, I've spent 6.5 years as an active volunteer in Transportation Circulation Commission as vice chair for the past year, and also have been on the General Plan Advisory Committee since 2021. And in the past year and a half have been chair of that. I worked through the housing element, very long process, very intensive, as well as the safety element. Which I'm really very proud of the safety element and the work that we did. We basically utilized some of Arinda's good work before us. And I think we got a very solid element out of that. Goals, policies, procedures that are really going to set us up for being prepared and resilient. You all know, because I come to council meetings and I speak as a public citizen sometimes on topics that are of interest to me. That I dedicate a significant amount of time to reading staff reports, analyzing them. However, I think what I want to do on council is really zoom out and contribute to the strategy, the overall strategy for achieving our mission statement. That really crystallized copious public comment at GPAC in 2021-22. So I think it really is the voice of the people and a guide stone for us. Skills that I bring, I think, are that I listen keenly to people. I'm open-minded. I come with no prejudgment. I have a lot of patience from my experience. I've been in some very contentious hearings on that side of the table, and one was, I think, three hearings of 18 hours total. And so I have patience from that, and I know that we have to listen to every voice and take it all into consideration. I think honestly, I compliment the current council members' backgrounds in that I come with a pretty deep transportation focus and understanding of the history of the city and our past 6.5 years of actions, plus some that I've learned about historically. And I think, I'm a current parent, so in some respects, I guess I represent some of the younger residents in the city.
Okay, what do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years? And what should be done to meet those challenges?
Downtown. We need to retain our small town ambiance. It's what people come to downtown for from outside of the city, visitors. It's what attracts residents, or attracts new residents rather, people who are looking to maybe go through the tunnel for a little bit more space. And Lafayette is very compelling with a walkable downtown. There's a nice amount of services, nice amount of businesses. There could be more though. And I think the challenge is going to be how to adapt to the higher densities, which will come from new development. And we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity in the objective design standards project that's currently, I think, getting kicked off. We're up against a lot. There's not just the current zoning and the housing element that we've adopted, but also CEQA repeal for infill development just happened a week, 2 weeks ago, and that's significant. That really is a game changer, as well as potential SB 79 out there, which I don't know where it's going to go, but if it passes, we're looking at 80 dwelling units to the acre, a quarter mile around the BART station in a circle, north and south, and then a half mile out, 60 dwelling units to the acre. And if we don't have our objective design standards in place, then we effectively won't be able to control the form, the urban design, kind of the fabric of our city and streetscapes. So I think downtown's definitely going to have congestion challenges with larger numbers of residents. I think we can manage it creatively, but it's going to take studying. And I know there's a Mount Diablo congestion or Mount Diablo corridor study underway that will start looking at that, ways to figure out how to keep people moving to and from the freeway, but also make spaces more amenable to walking and bicycling. I think we have amazing good luck that the funding came through for aqueduct design, mud aqueduct design path. Or design for the path. Because that could be a bike bypass for downtown. I mean, that could be a place where you can very safely walk and bike and not be in the middle of Mount Diablo traffic, which it's an arterial, it's needed. It's needed to get people from one end to the other, and it's going to be needed for evacuations. It has to be clear and available. And so I guess another segue, I guess, from that is wildfire mitigation and preparedness. I think that the city's done a lot. The safety element is good. It's got goals, policies. We need to start implementing some of them. I think that working more on tactical planning is important. And so coordination with our fire agency. I would worry that Con Fire has such a big catchment area and it has a really varied set of cities and topographies. We're kind of one of the, oddballs in a way, maybe also like East County, Clayton, Morgan Territory, et cetera, are similar, but we have a lot of people. We have a lot of houses and humans and that are tucked away in our cul-de-sacs and I'm concerned about wildfire and evacuation and preparedness. I definitely think we can continue really good work on individual preparedness and fire-wise. I think I mentioned it in my application. There's a really, sounds great to me. It's called Ember Stomp. It's a fair that's going to be happening at the Marin County Fairgrounds, I think, in September, which is sponsored by Firewise Marin, I think, or Fire Safe Marin. And it's going to be about everything to do with fire preparedness, wildfire preparedness, protection, home hardening. So it'll have products for homeowners, and I'm sure Firewise will have a big presence. And so I think it'll just be fascinating to see. And I'm wondering if maybe La Marinda might want to take a look at that and see if there's a way to bring it here. Because I think people need information. I need information, if I'm going to put in a new fence, it would be nice if I just put it in with metal instead of wood, right? Just do it now, not have to redo it. And I guess the third challenge is increasing revenue. I think Measure H was critical, but it really was a keep the lights on measure. And I was really, proud to co-chair that citizens committee. It was really, really important to be in stable financial footing, but inflation is going to continue to happen. We have deferred maintenance costs for facilities that I think we need to really start to come to terms with. And I mean, ideally, we need some new revenue streams to be able to actually do some things that residents want that are on the wish list. And primary one in my mind is downtown enhancement that would come from city investment, not just waiting for developers to turn over properties and redo them.
Great, thank you. All right, next, what do you think are the two best decisions and the two worst decisions the council's made over the last 5 years?
That's a long time. My memory is fuzzy back that too far, but I think, honestly, gosh, best and worst. How about just a good one I agree with and one that I don't agree with. So I think last night approving the Oak Hill Place development, I think I agree with that. I thought that was a really creative use of a really challenging parcel. It's right next to BART. It's a place where really people will very likely not use cars very, very often unless they're going far, far away. And I think that the way it was designed is just very sensitive to the site and to the neighbors. I'm really glad that they were willing to preserve the crosses. I think that's very important. And so I think all things said, it was a very, very sensitively created project, and I think it will add a needed housing option and type to the city. Although I'll just make one small editorial comment. They mentioned that this would be a new missing middle, 1,100 square foot or so houses. in the city, and we actually have those. They're out near Akalani's. My area, Stanley Boulevard, was started as 1,100 square foot little rectangle boxes, and many of us still have them. So there is missing middle in the city in other places already. And let's see, what else? Oh, one other thing about that I really was happy about was that they incorporated sidewalk, pedestrian path, and that the city will maintain it. I think that's really, really important. I agreed with your investment of the, blanked on the name of the settlement funds, that came from, for the safety around schools.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot the name of that. Development, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
we're good,
yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, that one. I think that was just really wise investment in our most vulnerable population. It's lasting, it's permanent. It serves all ages too, because many people cross the streets in those areas and use the bike paths. And I think it's just really, really a wise investment in safety. What did I disagree with? I think personally, I disagreed with the current position on funding the crossing guards. The school district's request to go for 100% cost share. I understand that they have fiscal issues. They have very challenging funding circumstances. It's hard. And I think that the city streets are just those, they're the city streets, and that we really should step up when needed. Especially just given that these are our youngest residents and they make up about 1/4 of our population. So they may not vote, but they're important. The other decision I disagreed with was back in the housing element time. I think you all know that I disagreed with placing housing element sites far from downtown. And those would have been the faith-based organization sites. I just think that they're in locations, most of them, not all, but in locations that require cars. They're in auto-dependent locations. There's no public transit. And when you're looking at very low income levels, that many of these developments would be for and restricted for, car ownership is crazy expensive. I think we all know that, for insurance and gas and maintenance. And so even if your housing burden is low due to subsidy, your transportation burden is very high. And you really have to look at both of those when creating affordable living, not just affordable housing. It has to be both. And so I just felt that those were just not the right locations for multifamily, very low income housing. That downtown is the place where it has amenities, it has convenience, it has public transit, 2 different types, bus and train, and jobs as well. So that one, you've heard it from me before though.
Yeah.
So you know that.
So I'll give you question 4. A city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the city should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities?
Bear with me for just a second while I digest that one. This is challenging. I'm kind of trying to read between the lines here. I mean, I'm not sure if maybe this is referring to a local ordinance, kind of zone 0, perhaps, but I don't recall hearing about
Yeah, it's more general.
that.
It's really more
It could
general.
be that, right?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I know that Moraga Arinda has a whole different setup because they have a local fire agency and have adapted their building code. But we do not. We have Comp Fire and what they prescribe or willing to do. I mean, I think about this from the transportation side of it primarily, really, that the city owns the right of way and is responsible for the functioning, the circulation of residents through the city. And in this case, you know, it's egress in the event of a fire, of a wildfire evacuation. And we're challenged. We have really very small right of way, in some cases, the open ditch drainage on the side, and little ability to widen roads. But I think that we have to do everything possible to look at ways that we can both ensure emergency vehicles can get up to areas they need to while residents are trying to depart. And that's a real concern, given the narrowness of our roads.
Okay. All right, so a city council priority is preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change over the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor?
Change, okay. Let's see, there's things I would keep, so I guess, let me think for a minute. You know, I would like to see an expansion of the existing streetscape that we have from about Lafayette, I'd say Dewing Avenue, maybe a little bit past in the Trader Joe's, Happy Valley Road area, down to about like Plaza Park or so. I would love to see that expand. I'd love to see the city be able to continue the streetscape, the trees, down further toward the east. Because it really changes pretty drastically, and even that block in between Lafayette Circle and Moraga Road, the edge of the Lafayette Square development, it's a big, wide open sidewalk, which is nice, but it's kind of sterile. And so I would dream that could be softened a bit through street trees or street furniture. Hopefully maybe some redesign of the actual storefronts and occupation by viable retail of those storefronts. I think all of that would help. So I definitely hope to expand the current walkable, pleasant urban design that we have in the center. What else would I change? These are difficult. Sorry. I mean, I like a lot of it. So I think about more from a perspective of preserving in the context of change. And so, you know, that's difficult. I mean, when you have a potential for a 6-story building coming in, it's really a big change to what we currently have. And I would want to, hopefully through those objective design standards, be able to guide the development to incorporate features that make the streetscape human scaled, comfortable, engaged, to have the buildings not just be massive blocks that are right there up against the right of way, the sidewalks, but be more variegated in perhaps their form or their texture. And so that's not a thing that's there right now. You know, I'm not talking about like taking big blocks of big rectangles and trying to soften them. I'm thinking more about, well, for development, how can we make it human scale? I think that the circulation works. I think I would definitely like to see active transportation options. Love it if the sidewalks could be wider. I think that we have a great opportunity, as I mentioned, in the aqueduct path, potentially becoming a bikeway. Really a lot like in Berkeley, where you see Shattuck Avenue is the thoroughfare. It's the buses and the cars. And Milvia, which is parallel, has become a bike. I think it's a class 4 protected bikeway.
Okay,
Right.
another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status? And this is halfway through, 4 minutes to go.
Okay, well, I think I mentioned already, I think that it's good that budget is balanced. It's good that there's some surplus right now in the revenue percentage, about 60% to use hopefully for some of the things that have been put aside, like deferred maintenance. But I do think that the city needs to look to increasing revenue streams, and I would hope some of that could come from enhanced services and shops in downtown and increase sales tax revenue.
Great. Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming place? And if so, what role do you think the city council should play?
Yeah, I think so. I think that we see that I think over the years have had a lot of new residents from all different walks of life, persuasions come to the city, and I think that everyone has a place. We're all stronger together. We learn from each other's differences, and I think that makes us better people. What role should the city council play? Goodness, well, I mean, I think we have to live by that. If that's the the honorable way to be, that we need to welcome any and all who come to the meetings. We need to give everyone their equal 3 minutes. Everyone comes from very different perspectives, and I think we need to just be open to all, and just know that we're never going to agree with everyone, and everyone is never always going to agree with us.
So I'll ask question 8 of 12. Should the Lafayette City Council take any actions in light of climate change?
Well, I think you've already started to make some good actions. I mean, I think the leaf blower ordinance is good in terms of emissions. I think that working toward, I think there's a idea of maybe compostable serviceware, recyclable serviceware. I think that might be very, very helpful. And I think that's what comes to mind.
Okay, great. Do you think Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, what should be changed?
I do. I think that the statistics I've seen from the police department show that they are doing a very, very good job at keeping crime down. That was one of my very strongest beliefs in Measure H, was to not lose 2.5 sworn officers. That we already have the lowest ratio of sworn officers to per capita. I think maybe lower than Danville or equal to Danville. And we could not afford to lose 2.5. And I'm so glad that we're not in that position. So I do think we have an appropriate level. Traffic safety, I think that's always an area where we need to improve. We're human, we're fallible. Accidents happen. We need to try to engineer our environment to try to mitigate that risk.
This is number 10, is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city?
I think that the city is doing just right. I think the city has a housing element that went through copious public review and comment. It's been through the HCD state agency for years, and they've approved it. And I think that we have a plan that we should be able to go forward with, and just actually get something done.
We are done. Okay, super. We give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or cover something that we did not cover, or you simply can say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Okay, very good. Okay, can I address 11
Of course.
appeals?
Yeah.
I want to-
Whichever you want.
Sure, sounds good. So, I think the city could do more to increase the vitality of downtown. I think that it relies on the good work of the Chamber of Commerce, and I know it helps and aids in that, but I think there's always more that can be done. I think an example that's amazing is the Community Day, bringing everyone together into downtown to really all be involved. I think I didn't put it on my application, so it's not an omission, but it was just an error. Error of omissions, I'm trying to say, that I joined the All Ages Recreation District Board, and I think that adding recreational facilities as well as opportunities in downtown is really important. The pop-up play spaces have been just really incredibly well utilized this summer. I've been happy to be there. Many of the Sundays, and I encourage everyone to go down there, to behind the rain garden park on Sundays, 11 to 6. I think that's another example of vitality in downtown, an example of what we can do and we can do more of. So I guess to recap, I'll just say, I have 6.5 years of intensive volunteer experience in city of Lafayette, transportation and land use between Transcirc and GPAC. I draw upon a professional experience in transportation planning and education in urban economics and urban planning and architecture. I keep up to speed from reading council packets closely. I've attended this year and last year's priorities setting meetings that you have in March. I read your packets. I'm an active listener. I'm objective without prejudgment, and I really try to strive to thread the needle, knowing that we're not always going to agree, but try to find where is our common ground, so that we can move forward. And I think, last, I didn't mention it, but I volunteer in other areas within the community. I volunteered in school districts for many years since my daughter was in elementary, and now I'm currently in Akalani's volunteering in the school booster organization. And so I think I just bring a perspective from really many of these different aspects of the city that I've been involved in, and I'm pleased to be able to pleased to have been able to serve and hope to continue to serve in whatever capacity.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll take the questions too.
Oh,
Take
yeah,
the questions back.
right, sorry.
No, not a problem.
No, like,
Wonderful. Thank you. Take care.
thank you, Steph.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm still up. Thank you.
Yeah, we're kind of typing.
Thank you. Over to your laptop, that's right. That's just exactly what I would do. It's the collegiality of looking at the.
Any members of the audience are feeling very warm in this room. The meeting's on the television in the room behind you, and it might be a tad cooler. So I wanted to give that as an option. Unfortunately.
Just got here.
For council members.
We're out of here.
Rest of the audience.
Okay.
Are we ready? Did you join?
She left. I get the person, yes.
All right, got this guy. Come on, hang in
I
there.
think oh yeah, we're past the post, right? We are
Yeah.
not quite, but
See?
we've rounded second on the way to
See?
third. Yep.
So you like transcribing all this, like, what was happening over here?
I'm
We
just,
both do.
I'm just hitting answers. Yeah, no, I actually never write.
I do
anything.
too.
I don't write anything down. Yeah,
I'm
it's
just like.
I can't.
It's a work skill.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi,
Thank
good
you.
to see you all again.
Thank you, Tim.
That's right. You can see.
Oh, no, thanks for the late night.
Hi.
And this is for you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Great. So we have 12 questions
Okay,
and we'll end at 24 minutes. So it's about 2 minutes per question.
Okay.
We have a countdown clock. We'll give you 3 minutes at the end to give a final statement or cover something we did not cover, or you can simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Right, those words exactly. Got it.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
perfect.
And but take a minute to read
Okay.
that.
We'll still ask you the questions. It's more
We'll
for you
still
to-
ask
you
you
to
the
read.
questions, yes.
Appreciate it.
So-
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Mhm.
Yeah. Listen to me. A minute, a picture later, something like this.
We're not gonna give you that much time.
Okay.
Just, it's supposed to be a brief run.
yeah,
through.
okay.
It's all right. You can read
No, no,
also
thanks for
while
keeping me up.
we're.
Yeah, no
asking the
problem.
questions.
Okay, let's go into it.
Super. So why do you want to be a council member and what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
Sure. So I want to be a council member in the city of Lafayette specifically because I grew up here my whole life. I feel a deep commitment to the city, and having gone and lived in other places, I've come back here to start this next chapter in my life. And I really want to give back to this place in a more meaningful way than I was either equipped or willing to do when I was younger and living here. So it's really important to me. And I think that I have the skill set necessary to add value to the council as well, and really help steer the city in a future, towards a future that reflects the wants of the whole spectrum of residents that we have here. What I've done in the past is prepared me to be a council member. So I am a software project manager by trade. And so a lot of that is consensus building, managing risk, communication with various parties towards a common end goal, managing personalities, all sorts of things that I think are really critical in a council member position where you are interfacing with so many different people with different potential goals and wants, and trying to keep everyone on an even keel and pointed towards a solution that makes everyone happy, or is at least best for the city.
What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years? And what should be done to meet those challenges?
Sure. So without a lot of in the weeds information about the financial status, I know that we just passed the measure that helps keep us afloat. So I would think what follow from there is making sure that the operating cost of the city and keeping true to the 4 Ps doesn't balloon or expand, and we're able to keep that at a stable position, or at least at a very low rate of growth that we think we can keep pace with in terms of revenues. And then the second one, I think, would be housing, both in type and also affordability. I think that we all care very deeply about maintaining a certain feeling when you're in Lafayette, and housing plays a huge role in that. But also, as I saw in the meeting last night, there's also a difference between single family homes and then more a higher density affordability, to make sure we have a rich mix of people in the city.
Great. So what do you think are the 2 best decisions and the 2 worst decisions the city council has made over the last 5 years?
Okay, well, I would say from my outside perspective, one of the best decisions that you've made is to keep things simple. I think you've been very, I mean, in a good way, like you've been very restrained in what you're doing as a council to really make sure that the core functions are met. The city is clean, the city is safe, the roads are paved, everyone can get around. It's safe to be here, walk around on the streets. And I think your decision to really get ahead of, and I know we'll touch on this later, wildfire preparedness, I think is huge. It's sort of just a matter of time of when that is going to probably come to visit the community, and making sure we're prepared and not caught off guard. I think is really responsible, and says a lot to the foresight that this community council has. Some of the decisions that maybe I felt could have been better executed mostly would come around the communication of decisions. So I know a lot of other people who've grown up here remember a time before there was paid parking and things like that all around the city, might not have fully understood why that came on the scene, or as implemented as broadly as it was. And so I don't want to necessarily litigate whether or not that was the right or wrong decision, but just the communication and potentially lack thereof to the broader community of why that decision was made. And then I can't think of another bad decision that is coming at this point in time.
And to follow on then, the city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the council should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities?
Sure. So I think that you can meet people in a way that it shows them you are caring about their safety, in terms of making sure they understand where they're supposed to go for an evacuation route, what resources are available to them, the different scenarios. Are we talking about an earthquake? Are we talking about a fire? I know specifically there's questions about fire, but just in any of those, and making sure we kind of help them help themselves in a way. And I think in doing that in a very thoughtful and nuanced way, you can get to a point where they are more willing and able, and more willing to adhere to some of those best policies in terms I know they love their landscaping. People want to have certain things in their yards that aren't necessarily the best in terms of fire mitigation. Yeah, I think that it really, again, comes down to communicating to them because you want them to feel like they're reaching this decision on their own and it's not being forced upon them.
Okay. All right, a city council priority is preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change over the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor?
Okay, so I think it's pretty apparent that once you hit the library, it kind of drops off towards the Park Hotel. And then once you get towards the corner of basically where the Trader Joe's sushi restaurant is, then it also just kind of becomes very barren. And so I think as you develop that, there's a lot of great opportunity for some of the more non-traditional affordable housing that we were talking about earlier to make it a more rich and pedestrian friendly place that you would include mixed use. So you have the businesses to support those people so they're not all converging towards one center space in downtown and creating congestion. I also think that you could increase opportunities for some sort of transit or public transit option that would help people shuttle down this pathway, since it is just down and back basically to help them get along the street, because it is pretty long. And if we're going to make it a place where there are multiple businesses or points of interest, I think it would help that people could easily hop on, hop off, get around downtown.
Great. 6th question, another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial status?
Sure, great question. Based on what I read, I don't think you've done anything to put us in a hole, so to speak. So it's just a matter of costs rising across the board, post-COVID, what have you. I think we're seeing that across industries. And yeah, I think the fact that also the measure was time limited speaks to the fact that you understand you're not trying to continually increase the budget indefinitely, sort of as we see on the state level happening, where it's continually coming back asking for bonds for certain projects and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of financial sustainability and being fiscal. I also think, going back to what I was talking to Councilmember Cervantes about with communication, the importance of the why we are doing certain things. I think if we came to a point where we had to either roll back certain services that we currently offer today, or at least amend them temporarily to make sure we get in a good financial position in the short term and get us back on track. I think, again, if that's communicated correctly, the public would be all right with perhaps saying, oh, we won't be able to do speed bumps for 2 years or something along those lines. I know that's kind of just plucked out of wherever hypothetical, but a situation like that. So they understand why we might see a decrease for the overall financial health of the city.
Great, thank you. Next, question 7. Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community? And if so, what role do you think the city council should play?
Yeah, thank you for including this question. I think it's a really important topic. There's no question or getting around the fact that Lafayette is around 80% white. It's been that way the whole time I've lived here. I know that there was a bit of a focus on that during 2020 in Black Lives Matter movement after the murder of George Floyd. That being said, I do appreciate the progressive nature of the residents that are here, regardless of their ethnicity, as evidenced by even going to Stanley and seeing a pride flag on the pole and numerous posters and windows. It really made me feel proud to be from this community, and that's not necessarily a huge controversial take. So I think that the desire and understanding for equity and diversity is here in the community. It really just comes down to what is our willingness for implementation. And I think that circles back to some of the affordability options within living. I think it would be great if people could live here and not need to have a 6-figure tech job or be part of a dual income household. And in terms of what I would bring to the council, well, going back to some of the demographic data from 2019, the median age of Lafayette's 45, 25% of our residents are under the age of 18. I think that I would bring some lived experience and perspective that skews a little bit closer towards that younger edge. And as you're all aware, every generation is going to have their own lived experience in going through the world, and that's going to bring its own priorities, concerns, values that are unique to that cohort. And I think that if we're talking about diversity of ideas and opinions, that could only help strengthen the council and its decision making.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Should the Lafayette City Council take any actions in light of climate change?
I definitely think that if you haven't already, reviewing what public works projects we have in terms of, are we getting energy from the right places? When we do construction, are we doing it in a green way? Are we approving construction from other people that is in line with environmental standards? And so, yeah, I do think that we should take climate change into account as much as we can, and also help raise up and communicate those members and businesses in the community that are doing it currently to help let them know that's a value that we like and encourage. And it's an important part of living here.
Right. Do you think that Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, what should be changed?
Sure. So, I mean, this is all coming through the lens of being like a young male. So certain situations that I might find myself safe in, another member of the community might not. So keep that in mind as I answer the question. Currently, I do feel like I see the Lafayette Police Department pretty active. I mean, they're not everywhere all the time, but if you're out for 20, 30 minutes, you might see them drive by, or you might even see parking enforcement, which I know isn't necessarily law enforcement, but it's just, I think, mentally grouped into part of that presence in the city, and it is reassuring. So to answer the question directly, I do think we have an adequate number of public safety individuals in the community. And on the whole, I think they've done a great job. I haven't had really much interaction with them since I was in high school. So, and it was nothing serious, don't worry. And but yeah, and even in those situations, it is what it is. I mean, the realities of it's Lafayette, it's going to have a certain type of crimes and incidences that are different from a bigger city or other places like that.
It's the 10th question and you're ahead of the curve here.
Awesome, that's how I like to do it.
Okay, is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city?
So I'm encouraged by what I see. I think that it's so far been done thoughtfully. Like I said before, I'd love to, especially downtown, see an increase in mixed use. I know that buildings like a Mercantile, when they went in, I think it's great. And instead of business offices on top, I think we could incorporate or consider residences. Everybody loves Europe, so you know it's a lot of how the housing goes over there, especially in their city pedestrian heavy spaces. I know that, and I also think the pace of the implementation has been good too. I think if you do too much all at once, that really unsettles people, and it might make them think that it's also being done haphazardly. And so for me, I think that it's shown you recognize there's a housing crisis within the broader state of California, and then also there's a housing shortage within Lafayette, or at least for a specific tier of housing. So I'm okay with it so far.
Great, thank you. All right, next, question 11. Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the, too much or too little to increase the vitality of our downtown and support our business community?
You know, I would love to, and if I was on the council, I'd get more involved with the chamber and talk to them about our small business owners and those institutional businesses that have been here for a very long time. I know I've seen turnover of some places that was sad to see go. I don't necessarily know the specifics of what some of that is or are, but I think that those really make up the core of our downtown. Not to be too callous about things, but if like a Jamba Juice or Chipotle went away, I wouldn't really shed a tear. But I think we're all still feeling the hurt from Squirrel being gone and that space not being filled consistently since then. It's almost like they kind of cursed it. But that being said, I know that there has been a healthy cycling of businesses. I haven't felt like I'm walking down through a shopping center with empty spaces or things like that. So I think if the city council or other people in the community are concerned about businesses not going into certain spaces, that's something I would love to dig into and learn more about. But from my perspective, I think things are healthy downtown for the most part.
Great, thank you. Great. And this is the last question, before you get your closing.
Okay.
If it were within your power, what would you do or what would you change to make Lafayette an even better place to live and visit?
For me, it would come down to like affordability of going out and enjoying the restaurants that we have in downtown and potentially getting around Lafayette without necessarily needing to hop in a car to go to as many places. I know there's not a whole lot that, I mean, we're kind of this a magic wand question. I know there's a lot of factors that determine how businesses set their prices. I think specifically, I'm kind of thinking more towards restaurants and things like that. But I think if we want more people to come here, visit, have a good time, I wouldn't want them to walk away thinking, yeah, Lafayette's great, but I have to come to like be ready when I go in there that I'm gonna leave and spend $100 on, you know, like lunch for two people kind of deal. I know that certainly might not be a factor for some people, but I think the surrounding communities, especially if we're looking at people coming from the East Bay and trying to you know, welcome them into the community, welcome their dollars into our economy, that would be something that we could I think do better on. And then also I think that making it a place and a destination for potentially more cultural events in the evenings. I know we're really close to Berkeley, Oakland, these hotbeds of really good musicianship. I myself grew up playing the cello, singing choir. A lot of my friends went to Stanley under Baba Thade, went in that jazz band, all that kind of stuff. So I know there's really great musicianship in the area. And I think bringing that to the other side of the tunnel will be a really cool draw for the community here. And then other people there. We do have a BART station. It's not too hard for them to get over here. Yeah, it's something that I've always thought was a little lacking and a really good potential opportunity for downtown.
Great, okay. So now I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or
Okay.
cover something that you did not, that we didn't cover, or simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Okay, great. I'll do a little bit of both. So I just want to say I am really excited, grateful, humbled to be here tonight. This has been such a wonderful process. I appreciate how transparent it's been. I think it really underpins the council's commitment to operating in the public light. And I also think that it encourages civic engagement from people who might otherwise be feeling cynical or intimidated to participate in local government. So regardless of the outcome, I know I'll be sharing my positive story and experience with other people in the community. I've been connected to Lafayette since 1990 when I was born. I attended Lafayette Elementary and Stanley, and then I went to Campo, I'm sorry. but while I was here and it continued to have a lot of friends who went to Akalani's, that I formed dozens of friendships that I still have to this day. And I've learned as I've left here and gone and met people from other places, that doesn't happen. That is very unique to this place. And I think it speaks volumes about the types of people and the environment that we create for in Lafayette. My parents still are part of the community. They live here, and I've returned frequently over the years to visit them and reconnect with other friends. Like I said, it's a place that it's a homecoming place that we all come back to. And I love the city so much that I decided to shelter in place here during COVID. And now as I start this new chapter of my life back here, after living in other parts of the country and abroad, I decided to set down roots in Lafayette, not just because it's familiar and where I grew up, but also because of its progressive and education forward culture. Those are two values that are really important to me, and I want to continue into the next generation. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I'm doing that at the end. Its proximity to nature trails and public transit to the East Bay and San Francisco. It's just so ideally located within the Bay Area. And just also its safety and its cleanliness. I really like that you can walk around and not be scared of your person or your belongings. And I also want to mention that in addition to the unique skills and viewpoints I'll bring to the council, I also intend to continue former council members Dawson's dedication to fiscal responsibility, community safety, expanding housing opportunities and environmental sustainability. I'm well aware of the context of this and that the people voted for her and her ideas. And so I want to try and embody that as much as possible. At the end of the day, I just want Lafayette to be welcoming, prosperous, and accessible to people from all walks of life. So that'll conclude my personal statement. Do I have any time left?
We forgot to time.
Oh, no.
Okay, is it really quick or what?
Oh,
Can you wrap it up?
yeah, I just want to touch on the education moving forward. So volunteering, I've been teaching life skills classes with high schools in Richmond and Hayward and Oakland. And since I've been back, I've also reached out to Big Tommy Burns at Beast of the East Bay, the powerlifting gym. He has a foundation that he works with athletes on that we're going to try to partner on. And then also another local entrepreneur who Stephanie Chitarian from Flow Content, who is going to put me in contact with folks at LPIE to try and make sure our students are equipped not just to go to college, but to succeed in life. And yeah, that's just something that really resonates and is important to me, and I want you to know about. So thank you.
Great.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was, thank you. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll take the,
Oh, the.
Oh, right, sure. Like walking away with the answer
the
keys.
yeah.
there you go.
Thank you.
The scribbles.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Hey, have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you for on that.
No, no.
It doesn't matter,
Figured just to be consistent.
yeah. 100%.
Have a few minutes for,
Oh, yeah.
breaks.
Oh, good. I will go
Yeah.
to the rest.
Nice God, no, you just.
Oh, thanks. All right, I got a cookie. Thank you.
Thank you.
He needs one, sorry.
So I have something for you here.
Okay, great.
Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
A sheet of questions. So we have, there's 12 questions on there.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna give you 24 minutes, about 2 minutes per question, if you'd like to. And at the end, we'll give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or cover something that we did not cover, or you can simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Okay,
So
I
take
can't
a
say
minute.
that right now.
No, you can.
You can.
Care. But go ahead and read the questions.
That's great.
Take a minute to read the questions and let me know when you are ready.
Okay,
Right. And we will read them to you.
okay.
So don't keep that. Okay, so first one, why do you want to be a council member and what have you done that has prepared you to be a council member?
You know, I mean, you probably all went through this thinking, what could I contribute? Because that's the biggest part of it. And it seems that everything I've done in my life has prepared me for something like this. It's, nothing has gone wasted.
And what do you think are the greatest challenges facing Lafayette over the next 2 years, and what should be done to meet those challenges?
Well, one is the new parking rules that it cut off the block faces at the ends of the streets to protect pedestrians when they're crossing the street. They wouldn't be able to see around the cars.
Mhm.
And that's probably a big problem we had in San Francisco with the SUVs and vans, because they're not invisible. So, but we did notice, we almost put in a provision if we were gonna do that, that cars that were low to the ground, like a Fiat, could park there. In other words, it was similar to the concept of compact parking spaces. So, but that was gonna be really difficult to, control. But here in Lafayette, there's so little pedestrian traffic compared to, say, San Francisco, where people were getting mowed down. And it seems to me, since my family's been here since 1965, that there is another advantage Lafayette has, and that is considerate people. It's a unique community in that regard, so people aren't speeding through the streets and reckless driving and all that, but so that's a difficult problem that I see. And also, it seems to me that there should be inexpensive ways of putting that, for example, if there is a parking meter, they just put some kind of, locked device on there saying that this meter, you can't park in this spot. And then educate population that when they see that, it's in keeping with this provision that's statewide. But, also, frankly, I was wondering if certain communities couldn't get a variance on that. Anyway, the other issue obviously is the influx of more people from building the 2,000 units. And that, I think you cross that bridge when you come to it. If new lights have to be installed or rules, we'll find out about it.
Great, thank you. Question 3, what do you think are the 2 best decisions and the 2 worst decisions made by the city council in the last 5 years?
Well, I think when they let you become a city council person, I'm totally
I
kidding.
don't know if that's good or bad, I'm not sure.
Take that one.
Yeah.
You know what? This is one thing that if I was selected, I would need to want to, hit the ground running. And so I'd like to know from you guys what you studied and how you found out what had happened in the last few years. Or are there materials to read? So, I didn't do my homework in advance, but that is one thing I bring to the table is the ability to do homework like nobody else.
Thank you.
And it's the 4th question, which is, a city council priority is protecting against and mitigating the risk of wildfire. What do you think the council should do to protect our residents while also respecting property rights and land use priorities?
Well, PG&E has a lot of ideas in this, once I called them a few years ago and said, why don't you put more of the dangerous wiring cables under the ground? And a guy told me, oh, that won't help at all. And now they're doing that very thing. So there are certain organizations like PG&E that need to see fewer fires. The insurance company, their response to this is just calling everyone a fire zone now and raising the rates or walking away. So for the people in Lafayette, they have this threat hanging over them. It's so incredible. But if the insurance companies were really being genuine, they would be asked this question and try to answer it for you.
Great. A city council priority is preparing a comprehensive plan for the entire Mount Diablo corridor from west to east. What top 3 things would you change over the next 10 years for the Mount Diablo corridor?
Seems pretty great, I mean, everybody talks bike lanes, because Lafayette is a biking community and there's so many wonderful places to bike. But just like with any kind of parking and traffic, it's a trade-off. And same with bike lanes, it's not just traffic for cars now, it's bike traffic. And so this cost benefit analysis type consideration and to some extent, they're mathematical programs like linear and dynamic programming. Yeah. Things that could be put into play. And an example is time lighting. I was going to Ignacio Valley every Friday for some vanity thing I was on. And it was 3 o'clock and it was just, you could not drive to John Muir Hospital, for example. And so I called the mayor of Walnut Creek and then he gave me the number of the guy that did the queuing theory programming. And I called this guy and it was when we could do it on the phone. By the time I got to that doctor's appointment, the guy said, oh, I don't, I see what you're saying. And I said, what time of day did you time these lights? Because it certainly wasn't rush hour. So if he was like going at midnight, it might make sense. But anyone stuck in traffic and the opposing traffic is just blowing by is very frustrated. And so they changed it. The guy changed it. So now it's easier to get around. So there are math problems that can be solved.
Question number 6. Another city council priority is fiscal sustainability. What are your thoughts on the city's current financial stance?
I'd have to look at it. And I probably have more questions than, and I want to speak with the CPA for the city about that. And to look at changes, you know, what has changed, why did it change? So, and, you know, sometimes you can be too frugal and mess yourself up too.
Okay, question 7. Does Lafayette need to become a more equitable, diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community? And if so, what role do you think the city council should play?
You know, I don't know any city or town, and I've traveled a bit, including little villages, which I consider Lafayette, and it's just so welcoming that there is no person in Lafayette that isn't your friend. You know, like, I mean, blows me away.
Mhm.
So if we have to work on that, I'd be surprised.
Great, thank you.
And this is question 8, which is, should the Lafayette City Council take any actions in light of climate change?
I'm really involved. One of the volunteer things that I didn't put down is ocean restoration, which is a big problem, but could almost very, very inexpensively solve the climate crisis. What's happening in the oceans starts at the plankton, phytoplankton is dying off. And so it's destroyed the salmon population, which, just as an example, is killing the orca whales. That population has almost, you know, it's down to like 83 or something crazy. But just like we always had high hopes for the Amazon rainforest, the ocean represents 71% of the planet. And by inexpensively, the facts on how inexpensive this is, by nourishing the phytoplankton, it goes all the way up the ocean food chain. And the phytoplankton itself is the new Amazon rainforest. So it does more than 2 things. It not only brings back the fisheries and what we eat, you know, but it helps all the ocean species but the phytoplankton itself, it generates enough, you know, reducing the CO2, capturing the CO2, that it changes the whole paradigm and at very little cost. And there have been tests already done in communities, particularly like in the Alaska areas where the fishermen are dying off with the fish, in that they can't feed their families. So just by nourishing the phytoplankton, all the salmon came back. You know, went to like 2.5 million salmon instead of something like 70,000. So but this project, I'm working with some politicians and this guy I've known for over 50 years. This guy, Alex Carlin, he's really brilliant.
Right. Do you think Lafayette has the appropriate level of public safety, including police services and traffic safety? If so, explain why. If not, what should be changed?
I don't know. I just remember one kind of funny story that sounds not funny at all, but somebody broke in my parents' sliding glass door. It broke into the house. And I was at a wedding with my mother. We come home and I said, Mom, get the gun. And we don't even have a gun. You know, I just was kind of hysterical. And before long, the entire Lafayette Police Department was in our house. And it was 3 people. But, you know, until this horrible time period where there were a lot of car break-ins, that was happening everywhere. And everybody felt that, you know, I think, you know, windows being broken for no reason, stereos being stolen. Well, you know, the good news is that some of the recent results are showing that crime is down. So that would include Lafayette. But the only people that would better be able to answer this are the police, you know.
Number 10, is the city doing too much or too little to increase the amount of new housing available in the city?
Oh, it seems like they're doing a lot. And I understand it was a state law that, you know, trying to increase the available housing availability. So I'm sure that you guys have met the statute properly. And so I would think the government should know what they're doing on this, so you're doing the right thing.
Is the city doing too much or too little to increase the vitality of our downtown and to support our business community?
Boy, doesn't it seem like Lafayette, thank God, has stayed the same? I mean, I love the town. I love the way it looks. You know, so are you talking about the demand my mother used to have Nadine's apparel in Lafayette, you know, above Uncle U's. That's the easy way.
Right.
And kind of high end. This is the kind of thing
Mhm.
that my mother sold. Anyway, so Main Street has always been a big thing, but if you have a good product, people will find you. And she was selling clothes to Diane Feinstein. And, you know,
Mhm.
so
Oh, sure.
Lafayette could be a destination if you've got the goods.
Great.
And then question 12, which is, if it were within your power, what would you do? What would you change to make Lafayette an even better place to live and to visit?
Good, you can tell I'm a fan. I mean, that's a better place. I don't know. Well, you're talking to someone that lived near North Beach for 40 years. And I'm telling you, it's hard to go to the grocery store, even if you have a car, you know, if you can find parking. I even had a car and a garage. I mean, how many people have that? But getting around San Francisco is so horrible. So you definitely don't want to head in that direction. But it doesn't seem like I can even come up with an idea for that.
Right, great. So
Great.
we've gone through all of the questions, so I'll give you 3 minutes to give a final statement or cover something that we did not cover, or you can simply say thank you and have a lovely evening. It's up to you.
Yeah, the only thing I was at
Yeah.
one meeting when I heard that the fire department doesn't have a ladder truck. Is that true?
Yes.
That seems, you know, like we should have a ladder truck, but I bet it's super expensive.
It is.
Yeah. Does anyone know from the fire department how often they've needed it? Like, if they don't need it, you know, don't fix it. But
Sorry,
Nice.
it's more like you're just telling us we're not really interacting.
yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay, so that's just something I would look into,
Okay.
but anyway, I love Lafayette. And I have the bumper sticker, the hat, you know, and I go to every art and wine festival with my mother. She's 95, she is a Yankee Doodle dandy and just turned 95, and she is going strong. I mean, there are no fewer than 5 birthday parties for her, so. You know, of course, she dressed all those ladies for years. But
All right.
anyway,
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.
coming
very
and
much.
putting in an application.
and have a nice
All
night.
right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Take care.
Here, we'll take the questions from you.
Okay. Well, if ever I want to hire a city council person, I won't have this list.
Seriously, right?
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, we were planning on taking a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Can we take a 10-minute break?
I'm fine.
Or should we just go?
I feel like we just do it. I'm okay either way.
Do you guys need a 10-minute break?
Okay, well.
Let's just really go.
All good.
Okay. So the next thing up, let you pick an exit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Okay, so the next thing on the list was to take public comment. So
Of course, we lost our person. who
we
has-
lost Joanne, who is super important.
I have the timer.
Okay, I can also.
I can read the, we had Don Stannard.
Yes.
Start it when he starts.
Right, when I sit down, right?
You don't have to say it, you can do whatever you want.
I'll sit down because I hate to like it.
Okay, perfect.
It's
Anyway.
nice to have speakers near the.
Then-
There you go.
microphone.
Even better, so
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for all your service to our community. It's obviously, you probably don't hear that enough, but it's truly appreciated. And also, I came here today to talk a little bit about Bill Frazier.
1 second, can you tell me your name again?
Oh, my name's Don Stanners.
Don.
I've lived here for 29 years. We raised all of our children in Lafayette and we plan to stay here forever. But nevertheless, thank you again. But I initially came here to talk about Bill Frazier
Mhm.
because I've known Bill ever since we were coaching kindergarten soccer years ago. What I appreciate about what you did today were the questions, because it helped enlighten a lot of us here, I think, in the room, to hear everybody speak. And so I truly appreciate that. But on to Bill. Bill is an analyst. He's extremely thorough. He does his due diligence. But what makes Bill unique is he doesn't tell you how he feels first. He tells you how he thinks, and that's based on his observations and what he's studied. And when I say study, it comes down to a number of things in terms of looking at issues, particularly as it pertains to Lafayette. A number of us have been hearing Bill talk about the issues ever since we knew him. And we've told him finally, Bill, you told us issues, you tell us what you think, you're well versed, you back up your arguments, you prioritize things well, stop talking and stand up and just go do it. So we're really happy, a number of us, to see him step up for this position. Obviously, you all make your decision, but I think what's important to know about Bill is his commitment to the truth, his commitment to our community. And within our community, he explained how involved he's been in with youth sports at Akalani's. And we all know for a fact, whenever there's an issue that comes up in Lafayette, he's extraordinarily familiar with it. Not just Lafayette, but at the state level. And how does that impact Lafayette? And what can we do or should we do to make sure we preserve our culture in Lafayette, to enhance it, and to make it an even better place going forward? So that hopefully our children, grandchildren, whatever, decide they want to live here for all the right reasons. We have a beautiful community. I think Bill would be an outstanding candidate, not disparaging the others, but just as an objective observer and analyst myself. Bill knows the issues, and he can recite, as you heard, different statutes that have been approved, different measures that have been approved. He will always state his opinion, but he will always listen. So I found what Bill, interestingly enough, even though he made his last comment about listening and talking, the reality is that Bill Frazier has become an outstanding citizen of our community, and he listens far more than he speaks. And when he speaks, he has information to back it up. But again, he'll take that information and not necessarily form a feeling, but a thought. Is that my 3 minutes?
Yes, so.
Wow, you know what? I was thinking, what else am I gonna say? No, thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Tea's ready.
Stop.
Time to get up.
I know, a little triggering here.
Yeah, well, not here. I'm getting anxious right now.
Want to see these
What
more
is it?
technology training?
Yeah. I need a new phone.
This is true.
Chris Nickel.
Thank you. Council members, thank you for your commitment to the process and for your service here. Chris Nichols, longtime residents, 30 years in Lafayette, come to voice my support for Bill Frazier. What you saw tonight was someone that did his homework, someone that knows the issues, someone that is passionate. What you heard tonight was his ability to engage his friends and his community. He naturally endeavors to create passion among us. And I think that is a great attribute for the city council. We probably didn't heard something that Don said is his ability to listen and form an opinion. I'm not sure. There has Bill and I are diametrically opposed in a lot of our political views. Bill has shown the ability to assimilate the information, to talk to a bunch of people and to form an opinion and to change his mind. I think that's valuable. So as a city council member, he'd be someone, you have several good choices on the panel. So any one of them would be proud. I believe that Bill would probably add the most to the council. He is not looking to push an agenda. He is looking to serve and to do the best for Lafayette. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I've stopped it, but anyways, and I can't pronounce. Siler, thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for all your work. I've been to one other meeting years ago and it was till 2 in the morning and I know everybody stayed. So that was pretty impressive. I'm here to support Bill Frazier, not that the others aren't viable candidates, but I've known Bill a long time. I've lived in Lafayette since 1998, but I've had family here and coming here during summers since 1966. So I know the community. I've seen how it's changed over the years, but kept a lot of the same kind of spirit and feeling. And I think Bill kind of embodies that. And I know, there are people that act and there are people that talk. And it's really true when you talk about Bill Frazier that he actually acts. He doesn't have to be, he's like your kid. One of your kids needs to be asked to take out the garbage and the other one just does it. Bill just does it. And it's with every single issue. He and I coached together for the last 10 years and then we coached in MOL earlier than that, but at Akalani's. And he started out as the varsity the head coach, and I was the assistant. And then I became the head coach, and Bill, because he was kind of mellowing out, became the assistant. And so the reason I bring this up is on a real micro level. He would always listen to the input of me being this new JV assistant coach. And he would roll with it, even if he disagreed with it, because it was something that he felt it should be tried and that he wasn't always right. Bill has the real compassion with his convictions, but he also, which none of you know him personally, but if you did, would know that he is also willing to listen and change those convictions politically, personally, and socially. I mean, he really does. And that's a thing that I've learned about Bill over the years. He also, when you talked about DEI, I think I need to bring this up. He's a doer. So one of the things, we had a young man come to Akalani's that had no money at all, but had an interdistrict transfer because his mother worked for the city, but he lived in Vallejo, and it's a long story short, he wasn't able to come unless he had a car, and they couldn't afford a car. Bill got a group of us together to purchase a car for the young man so he was able to get the education. There was a person at Akalani's whose wife was very seriously ill with cancer, who also could not afford a car. He did the same thing, and a group of us were able to put some money together to get the car. But the creme de la creme is, we have with the women's program, Akalani's JV, we have a Oakland Jamboree, where every Oakland high school women come out and we spend an entire day playing lacrosse, getting to know each other, have lunch, the whole 9 yards. And I'll quickly just say that Bill and I put that together, and Bill has stayed with it to this day, even though he no longer coaches. Thank you, and
Thank you.
appreciate everything.
Jennifer Paul. I'll stand here. Good evening,
People
sorry,
can
I
hear
have to be closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come stand.
Okay, thanks.
Come chat, you guys. Great. All right, oh, this is much more comfy seat than that. I want to thank all of you so much for taking the time with this process and for hearing the feedback that I'd offered in the past, working on it. I thought tonight was it was transparent. I thought residents and the applicants knew what to expect. And I truly want to say thank you. There were a few small little inconsistencies that I saw, and I think we'll all probably take time to address it afterwards, but I think it is just worth mentioning while it's in my head. One thing that could be changed was that allowing the second candidate onward to look over the questions, and I think that's a great change, but the first applicant didn't have a chance to look over the questions ahead of time.
You did.
Not
Exactly the same.
No, actually, that's great.
Okay, right, okay, no problem, no
That's
problem.
okay. Reminding candidates what question you were on, that was kind of hit or miss. I think that was great. I mean, it was hit or miss,
Mhm.
but I think that was great. And at the beginning, you had told all the applicants about 24 minutes, and they could use the time as they want, which is great. Though there was an applicant or two that had finished ahead of time, and maybe they could have used that time. I think the fourth applicant wanted some extra time to finish up, and maybe that should have been allowed, but maybe that's something that gets considered in the future. But that's it, and thank you, and I thought they were great. I'm not gonna speak on behalf of an applicant, because I really want to be unbiased with this process, so thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
No additional speakers.
Oh, okay, wow, okay. So we're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, I want to say thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
I agree with Jen, and that was probably the best one we've done so far. And it was having the process nailed out. Thank you for pushing on us to do that.
Mhm.
And making it clear, and we will iterate, like you said. I think the candidates were great. It's so heartening to have such a great town that people want to give back in such a profound manner, because this is a big deal. And then to have, 5 people willing to come up in, a short amount of time, just go, okay, I'm in. And then commit, and then all the letters came in. I just want to say that I'm very appreciative of, how everything went on. I am not gonna tell who I like the first. I'm gonna let this be a, kind of a more organic thing, but I will defer to the second most senior person here to see if you'd like to go first with his comments.
Or to, we could use the Supreme Court method, the junior member can start.
So I guess the good news is,
You said today.
so I've been on the council for 6 months, and I've been calling myself the rookie. I guess after tonight, I will no longer be in that spot. So that's no
Assuming we can make a
excuses.
decision, yeah.
But I will make a few observations, one of which is that, when I ran for the seat back in November, which seems like eons ago, I knew a bit about the city. I've been on the General Plan Advisory Committee, had just been involved. And I always had a strong impression of Lafayette, and part of that was based on my career. I worked with cities across California for 34 years and knew from just interacting with staff during, over the years, that Lafayette had top-notch talent with respect to its public management, but also top-notch talent on the city council. I mean, this council, in my observation in the past and what I've seen going forward, is thoughtful, respectful, collaborative. And believe me, I've seen other city councils where you don't have that. You can have one rogue player, it completely changes the dynamic. So to me, there's attributes there where I want to preserve that, not that I would think necessarily I'd agree on all points with individuals, and I haven't agreed on all points with my fellow council members, but we do it in a way where it's just respectful. And so I thought of what are the criteria I would look at in this? And I kind of put, this is kind of a finance guy, did a spreadsheet. And I kind of thought of things that I care about in looking at the applicants, one of which is a sustained involvement with Lafayette civic or public life, which doesn't necessarily have to be in a public agency. It could be community involvement. We had several individuals that sort of were that had work in a variety of different ways that showed that they were engaged with the city. And that to me was an important characteristic. I thought it was also important, though, to have some experience with a city commission or committee, just so you kind of understand how the city itself works, the city government, beyond just the community as a whole. I think that's sort of important to have a feel for that. The other attribute would be a sort of general or nonprofit board experience, because it is a board role. So the work that we do as a council is we don't get involved in the nitty-gritty of what staff does. We're really more on the policy directional side, which ideally to me is how a good council works. So I think if you haven't, we had one individual who had served in city council before, but frankly, I think board work is a good marker for that. At least you know how a board functions. And I think that's an important attribute. Another thing was sort of having an understanding of city issues, because we're confronting things ranging from a long process on the housing element, which will have dramatic impacts going ahead. We, as a council, as we list our top priority, wildfire issues are a key issue for us, just general emergency preparedness. So there's these different themes that are out there. Just kind of curious how people would approach those issues, how much they thought about it. And kind of related to that was I looked at the applications themselves. I wanted something that was thoughtful. I wanted to see how we had questions. And some people just maybe put a resume in, other people like wrote something. One person wrote something very thorough. And I thought back on my years working, which is, I can't tell you how many requests for proposals I responded to try to get hired to do a muni bond deal. And I knew that just responding to the questions alone wouldn't get it done. I needed to go above and beyond that. And I wanted to see something like that from a prospective council member. So I wanted to see someone who's like willing to kind of put something out there beyond maybe just the questions we asked. So that was something. And then I'm trying to discern like people who might have a collaborative, respectful approach to being on the council, as much as you could glean that from just someone sitting in the chair for 24 minutes or so. But that was another attribute I was looking for. And then, one of my questions, and this is actually the first one we asked, which is why do they want the position? I wanted someone to clearly articulate that. So those are kind of the criteria, if you will, or the themes that I was looking at in this. And so do you want me to kind of like talk about who I would prefer?
If you feel comfortable doing that right now, that'd be great.
Yeah, I do. I think there were a couple of folks that really stood out for me. One I knew from before, and that's Stella Witherspoon, because we were in the General Plan Advisory Committee together. I saw her work there. And I have to say, someone who I did not know, Bill Frazier, impressed me too, to be honest with you. Mario DePrisco has a background in this, and I kind of hit on a number of the points that he was making. But I think that for me, the one individual of the group that kind of hit my marks in terms of what I was looking for was Stella Witherspoon. And it's not just that, honestly, she had the most thorough application, which again was one of my attributes. And she had experience with Transfer, GPAC, with LPI. She was involved in the Measure H effort. She's sort of enmeshed in the community that way, but I'd seen her work on the housing element and the GPAC. And so and when my year as chair was ending and Matt Peace was going to step in as chair, we needed to find someone who'd be the vice chair who would step in after him. And Stella was our consensus pick on that. I mean, we thought that she was someone who could really help steer that process along. And knowing how contentious things could get at different points, like on the housing element, someone who could help like move things and build a consensus. So I know her through that experience. And I think she could do an effective job on the city council. She's got the background. She kind of didn't answer all the questions because I think she may have stayed too long in the first couple, but she clearly knows the topics, some of the issues we're gonna have to confront, and some of them could get kind of gnarly. And I think she's someone who would be thoughtful and could think through that. Some of the other candidates I think could get up to speed over time. Like I said, I was really impressed with Bill Frazier. But to me, I think that Stella is someone who hits the ground running. We're going to have some issues to confront in the near term. I think she could make a positive contribution like from the get-go. So she'd be at the top of my list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, as the next most senior person, I guess I'll go next. So as the one who's been in both seats, that seat and this one, I can appreciate how hard it is, difficult it is to do the most public job interview you'll ever have. And yeah, no, I want to thank all the candidates and also all people who wrote in on their behalf. I mean, I'm sure we all read every single letter that came in. We took everyone seriously. Yep. And I actually have no doubt that for every person who wrote in, they sincerely believe that the person that they were endorsing would do a great job. And actually, I don't disagree with any of those actually. I just think, our job is to pick among them, right? So that we have a great and terrible responsibility to pick the one person that is good to do the job, even though there are several that I think could do the job. And so then I'll echo Jim's kind of criteria. I had very similar criteria. Deep knowledge of the issues, and I think experience in civic life. And not to say you have, to me, like you have to go through a certain progression of committees or whatever, but I I just think it's really useful to kind of be on a city commission and really be involved in that part of it, because it just works differently. And you can be the best business person in the world, and it's just different when you're in government, and just knowing how the city works, understanding how staff's responsibility and how it all works. It's just really hard to, it's tough if the city council was your first experience with that. I don't think that'd be really tough. And I want to echo and kind of elaborate on the one different thing, because I know being there, coming here, is that when you come in midstream, you're hitting the ground running, and there's a meeting next, in 2 weeks, and you're just moving along. And so I think it is a difficult time for somebody who was trying to get the speed to it. So somebody who was very prepared, to hit the ground running, I think that is cannot be underestimated. So I agree. I enjoyed, I did not know Bill. I enjoyed his statements very much. I mean, whether he and I would agree on much, but actually it's very entertaining. I think I would love to just chat with him more about everything that he thinks about with Lafayette, because I think he is a deeply thoughtful person, and clearly is who's Citizen of the Year. And I think he clearly, as the testimony goes, was a great Citizen of the Year, or co-Citizen of the Year. But there is one candidate who has actually sat through both of our planning meetings in the last 2 years, right? I mean, she basically was there when we were talking about the priorities, and kind of was, heard all the pros and cons, and provided testimony and contributions during the city council prioritization meetings. And she was the only member of the public to attend both years. Okay, and that is incredible, actually, to do that. And I worked with Stella on the Measure H campaign, and I saw her in action and willing to roll up her sleeves and do it. And we're all kind of learning as we went along, and she was great, and took direction, gave direction, and did a terrific job, and is just really very impressive person. And so my topic would be Stella for this role, for all the reasons that Jim mentioned, my experience with her, and I think the ability just to contribute on day one.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, well, I'm glad you two went first. You laid out the criteria. I agree with the criteria that you've expressed. Let me just say that being on a commission for 6 years is quite a commitment. But it's not just being on the commission, it's the accomplishment when you're on the commission. Stella has shown herself to be somebody who's taken the lead on the commission, who has thought through the issues, who's been proactive in dealing with the issues. It's not like somebody who comes and sits and listens and goes away. She's been involved, and she's been involved in the GPAC, particularly on the first 3 elements that they've considered. She knows all of those issues. As has been mentioned, she's been to probably more city council members than anyone who served on a other city commission in the last 4 years. And she's been very involved in the housing process, not just as part of GPAC, but coming to the city council meetings and having her input. So I also think Stella is the best choice. She definitely not the only choice. I think we had several other very strong candidates, but I think Stella stands out as somebody who can come in and do the job from day one.
Great. And so understand that this process is hard, and we're going to only have one person that's going to win, and we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to be very disappointed along with their supporters. That being said, there are so many opportunities to give to the city and give back to your communities. And I think that every single person can and should. And we love that. We've got openings on commissions now, and we would love to get more people involved. I know Stella didn't run in the last election, and I do feel that is the thing that we should consider, and that because putting yourself out there to run a campaign is very difficult. But I know Stella thought about it really, really hard and almost put herself in that situation. She also applied to the last appointment. And so she's been aiming for city council through her actions and the way she studies and the way she follows what city council is doing. She's been wanting to be on city council for many, many years now. And during the last appointment, and sorry, John, but she was my first choice. And no, not at all. And it was because my interactions with her, our brains are wired very similarly. She's a big brain. I mean, I don't say that around very many other people. The way she thinks and the way she analyzes and the way she can write down, do all the spreadsheets and come up with the right answers and lead to conclusion. Being an analytical person myself, I appreciate that very much. And having more brains up here is always a good thing, and it's very helpful. And so like the last time, she was my first choice, and this time again, she is my first choice, because she has to hit the ground running. It's not when you campaign and you get elected, you've got like a month and a half of serious training. And so all of these people that came up for this appointment, if there's an opening next time, they should run. Trust, it is the best learning experience you can possibly have. And you'll understand yourself, and you'll understand how you know your people and how to listen, and you'll get all the training. If you haven't held a seat before, you'll get all the training you need to get up to speed in the time you need it. In this case, you don't. And so it is a concern, if you haven't been involved with the city government up until now. And so, again, I think it sounds like, we may be in agreement, and if somebody wants to have a motion.
I move adoption of resolution number 2025-41, appointing Stella Witherspoon to the Lafayette City Council effective immediately.
Second that.
Any conversation? No, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
We are unanimous. All right, thank you guys. Please, I appreciate everyone, and wow,
Appreciate the thought.
of course,
Thank you.
yes,
Do we want to call Stella?
That's the whole.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
yeah,
Do you want to call her personally?
Yeah.
I've got her number. Is
Sure.
the meeting adjourned?
oh, the meeting is adjourned.
Did we swear?
You can swear in.
Oh, we don't swear now. No, we swear,